Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast down for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asker. My name is Raheem out of Atlanta, Georgia, but we have some folks here that's very important. First, this is my sister from another mother, but we got the same father. This is Amari. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, doing high and a happy elephant and later than porcupine proud. Can you say that yet?
No.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Badger, good morning. This is my brother from another mother, but we got the same father. This is Badger. Good morning, Badger. How you doing this morning?
Morning. Another blessed day.
There you go. There you go. Man, listen, we got to just y'all know what it is. Y'all know what today is. Today is Wednesday. And on Wednesday is Way Out Wednesday. Way Out Wednesday. So we're gonna go way on out today. Ain't no telling what we're gonna talk about. We do not have a topic. We do not have a topic on Wednesday. We just let the conversation just flow and go where it goes. We scratch a little bit, we yawn, we do all that stuff on Wednesdays.
I do all that
Even the-
stuff regardless of Wednesday.
but I need to know something. There's been a couple of other shootings in the schools,
Hmm.
colleges, and schools. Here yesterday, they got this big thing going on right here in Atlanta, in the middle school yesterday. In the course of the day, a gun was fired. They say quote unquote accidentally fired, in middle school. They did the research, and apprehended the person that actually shot it. They say he's with him. And what are we out of control in America? We're not gonna talk about the whole world. We're gonna talk about and concentrate on America. Are we out of control in regards to Mario with gun control?
I think, I don't want to say with gun control. I think that we're kids are out of control because their parents are out of control.
Mm,
That's what I
mm,
think it is. There's not the balance at home.
mm-hmm. Okay.
So I don't think it's necessarily gun control that's the issue, or that we're out of control with all of that. I just think it's that there's no balance at home.
Okay, but let's talk for a second about the topic of gun control, because there's shootings going on all over. People killing each other across the board. Um, Even high schools, colleges, universities, we hear all of these shootings um, every day. It's almost like every day. So why are we in a place where all these shootings are taking place? And they said the Caliban, they showed something on TV this morning when I was looking at the news. They say that the number of shootings that was going on during that time, and they fast forwarded to now, and it's doubled. They say the number has actually, it's like 300 something thousand shootings that has happened since that time. So what does that really say? What does that say about us? What does that say about this situation of gun control? I mean, this, you know, something have to happen, because a lot of our children are being killed.
300,000 shootings in general.
Well, I like I said, I was getting dressed while the number just popped out at me. I see, and I pulled up the clip again. If y'all want to do some research, it was on Channel 2. Typically, when I look at the news in the morning, it's Channel 2 news here in Atlanta. But if y'all want to take a couple of minutes and research that, it was like three. They say the number doubled. It went from
Okay.
100. Yeah. So if y'all get an opportunity, y'all are real good at research. Find that article that they was talking about this morning, and clarify those numbers for me. But I know they were saying 300 some thousand. But I mean, that's a lot.
It is. It
That's a
is,
whole
but
lot.
I don't have I don't have a I really don't have a response to it,
Mm-hmm,
because there's so many different things that it could be
mm-hmm,
as to why, but I really think it just goes back to, like we've talked about here, with things just being so out of order these days.
mm-hmm.
There's not, you want to talk about school shootings in particular, there's so much that's not dealt with within the home, or the kids are having issues and it's not being handled correctly, or the parents are absent, or a parent is absent. There was a divorce. I mean, I don't even know, Raheen. I don't even know. It's just a
And
lot.
see, and those are some of the things that could those are some of the things that could lend a hand towards this. But I think a
I
person
know
has to.
it's not the reason for all of it. I'm just throwing
Yeah.
out some things
Mhm.
that could be leaning into it.
But a person has. I think a person has to make a choice whether they pick up that gun, whether they go and whether they point that gun at people and pull the trigger. Then
Well,
that's a choice that goes on into that. And so we could make, and I'm not gonna say it's an excuse, but we could make the excuse of saying that, well, it's because they divorce or this or that. But still, you have to each individual have to make a choice whether or
well,
not
if
they're
we're talking about a kid going in, was it an elementary kid that went in with the
sometimes.
gun?
Yeah, in that instance, where I say the gun was shot in a middle school, that was elementary. That was that was a middle school.
Middle
But
school. Okay.
yeah, that
So
was a middle.
if we're talking about a middle school or a middle school age child going in and doing that at his or her own school, then I think that is the responsibility of the parents to have those weapons put up and locked up properly.
And see, a lot of times, you see the kids that we have today, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. We're gonna talk to Badger, and we have Ryan here. We're gonna talk to them as well. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but at the same time, the kids today, man, they're a little more equipped to find. You could put it up. Somebody told me, a fella told me, he said, man, I had my gun in a place I didn't think nobody would find it, but my child found that gun. I saw the commercial that was on TV. What the man was talking to his son was doing, I can't remember which one it was, but about the gun. And then the child told the daddy exactly where the gun was. And he was like, well, how did you? And so, we could do it. We could take all kind of measures. But if a person want to find something in the house, sometimes they're gonna find it. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But I don't want to just harp on just that one incident in the middle school, because sometimes there's been adults that has gone into schools and shot up schools and stuff like that as well. And so, it's not always children. Let me go to Badger. Badger, good morning. What do you say to this, brother? Are we out of control in regards to gun control?
That is a very tiptoed topic. I mean, my personal opinion of guns in general.
Mm-hmm. For the people that don't know, tell them. Explain it to them.
Guns are for the weak.
Mm.
But that's my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those that want to use it for hunting, for those just in case situations, be a responsible human being. But the problem is, we had a huge topic yesterday about mental health. That is what's really the biggest contributing factor to the increase, or at least in my view of it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I've researched and looked into, it's just, it boils down to the shooters not be coming from all kinds of backgrounds, angry at certain things, bad childhood, grew up dealing with racism, grew up with judgment because they were they swung a certain way. Most of our American society spends their time abusing other people,
Mm.
and that is an unfortunate truth. People will walk over you for the betterment of their own self.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Tied it in with gun control.
if they can shoot you and get your money and get away with it, how many more shootings would we have?
Wow. So it almost sound like
Like, think about that.
It almost sounds like we're leaning back. We're leaning towards the Wild Wild West, days of the Wild Wild West.
I wouldn't say back to the Wild Wild West. I don't think we ever left. The
Mm,
only difference is there were a few laws that were made that went, well, as long as you don't kill these certain people, you know, it if you kill this group of people, it's murder. If you kill this group or this group of people, it's not. And then they eventually added the other groups of people to be considered as murder and so on and so on. So supposedly there's all these laws that supposed to regulate and help out, but there's too many people with guns that need to be seen getting help. I mean, we heard some people saying yesterday that they need help, but they don't trust certain things.
mm-hmm.
Like the current mental state of our country is not in a healthy place. But I'd rather people have guns than take them all away because I don't trust our government. Period.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nor anyone in politics.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Ryan, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Doing, man, your thing is super loud. Let me turn you down a little bit. There you go. There you go. What do you what are your views on this thing, this gun control, man? Looking at the numbers and how every day it's like every day we'll hear something about somebody getting shot. Badger, I think Badger was telling me yesterday that there was 2 or 3 shootings yesterday or day before yesterday, may have been Monday, in his area or in school. I know Michigan was one. Right there in Michigan, there was a shooting. The university.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you hear stuff like that, you hear it all the time, every day. One young child, they apprehended him. He said that actually he had a note said, "I'm just one." I think they killed him. Well, he killed himself. They said, say that I'm just one of many. There's many more like me out there. And so I don't know if that was a warning or what that was, but he's saying that there's going to be a lot more shootings in these schools and universities. Man,
Mm-hmm.
where are we in regards to gun control?
Well, first of all, what are universities and schools considered? They're considered gun-free zones.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have this problem in other countries because their teachers pack heat. You pull out a weapon, you dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. That's something that needs to be addressed. Right here locally, one of the school districts has started to put certain teachers through training to carry weapons so that the teachers are armed in school to knock this problem out.
Mm-hmm.
Churches, schools, libraries, some facilities are gun-free zones, so that makes them easy targets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see these things happen in those areas, because they are gun-free zones. There's nobody there to stop someone in case of an attack. Secondly, being a former law enforcement officer, I used to carry everywhere. Everywhere I went, didn't matter what building, because I had the ability to do so. That's part of my job. But a lot of these states, people don't know their rights. So Michigan is an open carry state. Where we were at in Tennessee is an open carry state. There's certain counties down there in Georgia where you're required to carry a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that people need to know and be educated on, because the only thing that stops gun crime really is another gun. And they never talk about all of the crimes that have been prevented by a citizen accessing their rights and carrying a weapon and taking out a shooter. They don't talk about that part because they don't want you to see the good. They only want you to see the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as gun control is concerned, there are many things in place to prevent people that aren't supposed to have weapons from having them. But that also requires people to do their due diligence. And if they have mental health issues, go seek that help because it's registered and it will pop up. Am I still here?
Yes, you did.
Okay. It will pop up as a red flag when you go to apply for a weapon. The other part is it doesn't matter if you have gun control and they take away weapons or restrict weapons, because people on the streets killing people, they're not killing people with registered weapons. They're taking weapons that they bought off the street or brought across a border somewhere that are not even supposed to be in the country. They're illegal weapons. So it's a whole broad topic, and it's tough to pinpoint what the answer is, because we have a right in this country to carry weapons. And if you look around the globe at the countries that don't give their citizens that right, those people are living under dictatorships. Their lives are crap, and they're miserable because they have no way to defend themselves.
Now, you said a lot there, and one of the things that stuck out with me about was the teachers in schools and stuff. My wife's an educator, been an educator for 26 years now, and I meet a lot of teachers every day. I meet them because schools that she go to and events and different things that she go to. I would not feel comfortable with some of those teachers having weapons in the school. I would not feel comfortable at all. And so though people have said a long time, and there's a big argument going on about that. Should the teachers be able to carry weapons in the schools as a protection mechanism? How do you gauge which one is stable enough? How do you gauge? And so if you have a teacher on this wing over here that is stable enough and has a gun, what are you going to do if there's on the other three wings, something happened there? And they'll teach you to get up and run over there and then leave this vulnerable over here. There's so many different things. There's so many different areas associated with that I do not agree with. And I do know too that teachers, they wear so many hats already. They're teachers, counselors, mentors. Teachers wear so many hats in a classroom every day. Every day they wear so many hats. Now, are you willing to put another hat as a sheriff or deputy on a teacher when he or she already have so much responsibility already? There's a lot tied into that. And what do you do when the teacher have a bad day?
Right, and you have a valid point, but it has to be a group effort, right? There has to be checks and balances on who should be able to carry those weapons. There are some schools that have SROs, which are officers that are in there. But at the same time, as we've seen in the past with certain schools, those SROs, they'll run out the building and leave the damn kids in there. Excuse my language. That makes me mad. Makes me sick. I used to carry a badge. You carry that badge because you put yourself in front of somebody else, not run away and wait outside. Like, that's the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be running in there whether you got backup or not, trying to protect those kids. So you pose a very good question. And without trying to get too political, we have to look at who our teachers are. You got, like you made the comment a few minutes ago about there's more of us. There's more of us. There's going to be more. Well, that alludes to the according to the media, the fake group Antifa. Most of those people have already infiltrated the schools. There's teachers that identify as Antifa, right? That's dangerous. That's dangerous mindsets. And those teachers need to be ousted, just like somebody who supports Donald Trump would be ousted. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a twofold effect. You can't just have your cake and eat it too. So it's a very, very touchy subject. People get in their feelings about it a lot, but a lot of the problems we're seeing around this country are based in communism, socialism, and those I was talking to Toya about this yesterday with my wife. There's a video. I'm going to send it to you later, and you
Okay.
can look it over, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this has been, I'm sorry, trying not to sound like a kook, but this has been a plan for a while, and it's finally coming out, and it's bearing fruit, and it's a problem.
Wow. There's a lot of things going on and a lot of different layers on this right here. We got another caller. We're gonna go to Captain. Captain, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Good.
Morning Globe family.
Hey, good to have you, sir. We're talking about gun control. And where are we in regards to this thing called gun control? Is it just out of control? It's been said that there should be a situation where it's in schools, all these shootings is going on in school. There should be a situation where teachers should have weapons. Me myself personally, I don't agree with that, because you still putting the guns in the hands of people that could have a bad day, or you don't know what the situation or their mental state or whatever, and so that could actually pose another problem. So what do you think alone? Are we out of control, Captain? In regards to gun control?
Yesterday you was dealing with mental health issues.
Yes.
After I heard Badger, what he said, you have to tie it all in. Let me just give a good overview. Biden was talking about stricter gun law, and his attitude, or most of the presidents and the politicians, is cracking down on assault weapons.
Mm-hmm.
In the hood, in the black community, that is not a weapon of choice.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers don't run around there with an assault weapon in their pants.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon of choice is the handgun. The shooter in Michigan, black man, was a handgun.
Mm-hmm.
So the assault weapon, banning on assault weapons, don't help the hood. It does not help the hood at all.
Mm-hmm.
It may help dealing with a lot of these people who wind up getting stockpile a lot of these weapons legally. But the biggest problem, and I got to speak on the black community, because that's a big problem that I'm fighting with my Peacekeepers organization and all the other organizations, is gun violence. That gun violence and gun control does not just extend to little Pookie and Ray who's running around there. When he run up into the convenience store, he ain't asking the man behind the counter, do you got a gun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not gonna rob you. They don't care if you got a gun or not. So having another weapon is not a deterrent. But at the same time, you got police officers. It's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there was just one recently. A police officer just shooting and killing unarmed black men or black men who they say have a gun. We knew that there was a guy had a gun. It was a legal gun. He went to show the officer, and when he went to pop. So it's almost like a black man in the hood can't have a gun legally. So when the police pull him over, even if he try to get a chance to show him, hey man, this is a legal weapon, he don't get a chance to do that before they've been fired on it. Then they found out it was a legal weapon. But let me say this. I do active shooter training. And they're talking to my man Ryan. When we had all the teachers and I was given the training, active shooter training, we had over 50 teachers, staff that I was giving the training to. Out of the 50 staff, I want you listeners, Ryan, 4 of them had legal weapons. The principal, female principal, said she keeps her weapon in the car. She don't bring it into the school. And when the conversation came up, it was a known fact that they was having a conversation as staff with each other, but they should have, and I like what you said, Brother Raheem, they should have had a conversation with the parents. So when I did a training with the parents said, no, I'm not telling no teacher having a gun. Mm-hmm. We don't know, as you said, right, did she have a bad day?
Mm-hmm.
My man said that when they go to apply for a gun, they can tell they got mental health issues, a red flag come up if they got mental health issues. Well, that's not true. Look at all the law enforcement that wind up getting onto the police department they got mental health issues with no red flag on them. Mental health is not a disease that just pop up all of a sudden. Sometimes you could have a sane state of mind, but because of the job or the things that you do, you can lose your mind. People can have a mental health breakdown. People can do that. They could be stable. Well, what happened to them? They were so well. Man, the job got to them. So mental health disease is not a disease that you can find in churches. It has its roots somewhere, and it can have its roots in the condition of society. He's mentioned about third world countries and dictatorship, and these people living a miserable life. Yeah, they may be living a miserable life, but they don't have 200,000 people being shot every day through gun violence. That, you know, we want to be able to find a balance. And now, gun control, America was built off of guns.
Yes,
that's America's way. That you got John Wick 1, John Wick 2, and John Wick 3. Now, where did that whole John Wick look? If you ever seen a movie, it ain't nothing but about guns.
Yeah.
And when you look at how you look at these video games, remember what was it called? The Grand Theft. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
Come on, do you remember Grand Theft Auto?
Yes.
Kids sit back all day long shooting. So, you know, America got a problem. Yes, there should be gun-free, but I don't think arming every American with a gun is going to solve this problem. I think America got some issues. I think it's a mental health issue that goes with that. But I do believe they're missing God. God is no longer in the school. You can't pray in the school. The only time you can let somebody get killed, then you can have a prayer ritual. But prayer is not respected in the school. So when you take God out the equation, what do you have? What do people have to hold on to if you ain't got God in your life? God is the only stability. I don't carry a gun. I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. We in the Nation of Islam do not have weapons. We are forbidden to have them in our home. We are forbidden to carry them. Every member of the Nation of Islam do not have a weapon in their home. I'm telling you. The only ones who's allowed to carry weapons if a member of the Nation of Islam works with law enforcement and their occupation requires them to carry a gun. And even then, there are ways that we have to deal with that. But you know what? We ain't killing nobody. And why? Because I do believe when I went to London, England, Raheem, and when I was over in the UK to train some of these officers over there, they don't carry weapons. The police officers walk the street, they call them bubbies. They don't have guns. Now, they ain't saying they don't have access to it because they're units to ride around with the gun. But when you walk up on one of them officers and he ain't got a weapon, let me tell you something. This is the most kindest, respectful dude. When he's very kind. They use their people skills. So they don't have a gun problem, but their weapon of choice is knives. That's the weapon of choice. So I could say, you know, we have to really look at the overall picture. I respect law enforcement, but I do believe there ain't no way you could kill somebody and you could show up at the job the next time. I think every officer that is involved in a killing, that when he has his job, when he took the life of another human being, he should be required to go through some mental health training, because you can't tell me you can kill a human being, right or wrong, and you stable the next day. You can't tell me that one.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that one. You need to get some time off and then be evaluated, because you can't tell me to take another human being's life, right or wrong, that you stable and that I did the right thing. In whose eyes? Because if you're religious, you're going to have a problem with that thought. That's what's on my heart, Raheem.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Ryan. Ryan, what do you say in response to what Cap just said?
I mean, he makes some valid points, right? But as, again, using my law enforcement background, when you're hired, you have to go through a mental health screening with not one, but two professionals. And you have to take a set of tests where they basically ask you questions. Sometimes it's on paper, multiple choice, where they analyze it. So if you take the paper test and something don't sit right, then you go to the next step, which is verbal counseling, and they want to pick your brain and tear you apart and see what's going on before you're moved on to the next stage of the hiring process. If you're involved in an altercation or you take somebody's life, you may keep your job, you may get a few days off, but you are required, and I can't say that for all departments, but the ones that I am aware of and the ones that I worked for, you're required to go through a mental health screening again. You're required to sit in on counseling to talk about the situation and go over what happened, and they have to make a determination whether you're fit for duty again. So those things are in place. I'm not saying that they're perfect, because nothing is. And again, going on with the topic of removing God from schools. So if we want to go on that avenue, that's a good point. Because if you look, a lot of the things that have started to go wrong start going wrong after they removed prayer, after they removed being able to talk about those things in school. And when I say they, you have to look at who's been controlling the schools for the last 100 years. Those people are the problem. Those are the people that are pushing agendas on our children that aren't meant to be pressed on children at all, period. Those are the guys who don't want prayer in school, don't want you to be able to carry your Bible, get mad when you have prayer meetings before and after school. Those people are the issues in the school. And that's a whole different subject. It's a long, drawn out process. And I think that will probably be something we could talk about privately, because that would stir up a lot of hornets when I start getting into that. But as far as police officers in England, yeah, they don't carry weapons. Some of them have access to it. They're more like special groups, like SEALs. You know how we got SEALs in the military here. You have different police officer groups in different countries that have access to bigger weapons than your regular patrol officer. But those patrol officers over there getting shanked just as much as they get shot over here. So it's one hand washes the other. Is it a gun or a knife? You got people running through trains over there, cutting up 50 people before somebody takes them out. It's a problem either way, As far as assault weapons are concerned, that's a broad spectrum label. Any weapon can be an assault weapon. Now, I don't know where Cap's from, but out here in Detroit, we don't use pistols out here. The pistols for yourself. Everybody out here got Tech 9s and SKSs and AKs. They rolling through the street laying down hundreds of rounds on people. So I guess it depends on where you're at.
Wow, that's good. Badger, what's on your heart? What's on your heart, brother?
I was trying to find out what all countries actually allow their teachers to carry guns and stuff, and I couldn't find any. Matter of fact, there's a lot of gun control in these other countries.
Which countries are we talking about?
We could go with Israel, Japan. I mean, you heard captains talk about England. Or it was England, right, Cap?
Yes, sir. London. Yeah, UK.
London. Yes, okay. So it's just it's wild. Like, to be able to own a firearm in Israel, you've got to get a permit to be able to carry, going through a firearms licensing department, if I can say the word right. So like there's and that's the wild part. I have known people that own firearms that by law they shouldn't have. So It's just it's and as far as the God comment goes, where's it at home too? The teachers can only do so much. We can't put it all on the schools. It's the responsibility of the parents too. What do they have access to and things like that? And once again, everything in this country boils down to mental health. It's not just gun control. It's not like everything boils down to mental health.
Or
Most
lack of.
human beings are dealing with trauma of one way, shape, or kind. We are dealing with evil human beings out there that hate somebody else for some reason or another, just cause. We are dealing with constant fighting, constant depression, inflation. Rico's made comments before about how the indifference of income. I think the average income in America is like, I think last I checked, it was like 50,000 is the average.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the cost of homes, cost of eggs, so on and so on. People are stressed out. They don't know what to do anymore. Every day we wake up, we have to be strong to be able to survive. Some of us are lucky and we already own a house and we ain't got to worry about a place to live. Those that do have to worry, rent keeps going up. So everything, right? So to me, talking about guns is, you can't talk about guns without talking about mental health. You just can't. Our communities are jacked up. People are mad at one another. There's so many misdirections, false information being put out there by one side or the other. And then when you actually talk to people that live in those countries, you find out that what we were told wasn't true. So it's just, where do we draw the line?
Mm-hmm.
Do we hold those people that are putting out that the misinformation and hold them responsible too for giving people a false ideology, a misdirection? I think it's called what, falsification of documentation.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't we holding them responsible for that?
Mm-hmm.
We're not. So guess what? There's people out there spreading more, hearing it from the people spreading false information. They're taking it as truth because they're brainwashed and projecting it onto other people going, well, here's this, this, and this. Well, if you don't go do the research to find out the actual facts, you're going to believe something that ain't right.
Mm-hmm. Good deal.
So there's a whole nother dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
this isn't just a should we have gun control. This is we lack something that other countries do have. We have intelligent human beings that could help people, but as my psychologist said, there's times where she wished she could offer free stuff, but unfortunately she's in debt because she had by a lot of money just to get a degree to do what she's doing. And if you don't have the right degree, you don't even get accepted by some insurances. No matter how long you've done the job, if you didn't finish the schoolwork, the college or university to get that higher level of degree. So I
Stay
could
right
go
there.
on and on. I'll stop.
Yeah. Stay right there. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Can't complain at all, man. Just happy to see another beautiful new day, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Gun control or lack of gun control. Rico, where are we right now? Or is it out of control because all these schools and different places are getting shot up? People are getting mowed down in the middle of the streets, and all kinds of different things are going on because of these weapons. So are we really that far out of control, or what should we do about this gun control?
Absolutely out of control. I saw a basketball game on TV the other day. Well, you know how sometimes they had the cameras out spanning or scanning the court before the game and the announcers are talking.
Uh-huh.
And it was a guy out there that wasn't even playing on the basketball team. He did a layup. And when he did a layup, his pistol fell out and hit the floor.
Wow.
He had to run and pick it up and keep running on off the court, hoping that didn't nobody see it.
Yeah. Wow.
See videos all the time before people get killed of children at gyms in neighborhoods in Chicago and Ohio and Michigan pointing guns and bags full of guns and book bags full of guns.
Mm-hmm.
You see music videos with 5 or 6 people together.
What do you think the fascination is?
John Wick. It's
Wow.
popular. It's popular culture. Cowboy movies, shoot 'em up, bang bang movies. You know, people want to gang bang because they want to shoot. You know what I'm saying? They're drive-bys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a trend. It's popularized. It's cool. Ain't it cool watching John Wick just shoot up everybody? Pretty much something that can't happen. Unrealistically, just go in every day of your life just murdering and dodging bullets and just, you know, walking through the middle of gunfire like Jesus. Can't nobody shoot me, y'all. Look at the video games, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. They want you to simulate war. Look at the prevalence for war. You know, it is a mental health issue, though. It is a mental health issue, but, you know, we have to understand that Badger said something key about holding people responsible, holding people accountable. And this is what happens. You have natural mental health issues where you might have some type of imbalance just throwing you off mentally, you know, not man-made or not because of vaccines or nothing like that, but you just, you know, throwed a little bit. You were born with some disabilities. Yeah. But then you also have the other mental health issues that are created by conditions and atmospheres. And those conditions and atmospheres are created by people. And the people that create those conditions and atmospheres need to be held responsible. You know, if you got people flooding the street with crack and heroin, you want to lock them up. Yeah. If you got people flooding the street with guns legally, well, we see all the murders and the shooting going on, but we ain't going to hold the people accountable that's making these guns, that's manufacturing them. We're not going to hold the cops accountable or responsible. We're not going to create a deterrent or a consequence for the illegal use or for the I'm going to say misappropriation of guns, mismanagement, for something that you sell that has so much potential damage that it can cause. Once you sell it, it's all ain't no problem. So it's like, you know, somewhere you know that you got to over manufacture. You know, people over manufacturing these guns, and you got people that are considered sane who are obsessed with buying guns, and they got an arsenal. Any one man that has an arsenal at his home and a bunker planning for a day of revolution or uprising or what, some ain't right up there. Yeah, but they might not have tests to make them be diagnosed as mentally incapable. They might be just red or blue blood Americans. Good old Americans. Love our guns and our flag. Think about it. That's what America stands for. Western culture, the cowboy movies. You get what I'm saying? I mean, so, you know, it has not gone anywhere. And so when I made the statement yesterday that the majority of this population in this country has mental health issues, we do, because a lot of the things that we favor and we crave and we desire are completely out of order. But it's a way of life. It's American way. Don't tread on me. Give me my guns of liberty. We love capitalism so much that women can sell their own body online now. Pimping and prostituting used to be a bad thing. Now it's a good thing. I'm on OnlyFans. But see, it makes sense to legally traffic guns and flood the streets with guns because they make money. If it didn't make money, it wouldn't make no sense, though.
Mhm.
Even all the deaths behind this gun violence, well, it ain't worth to stop the manufacturing of these weapons. It ain't worth it. We need to continue making it. Why should we stop? So many different things that goes on in this country. That needs to end but doesn't end because it makes too much money. And if it makes money, it makes sense.
Wow.
So that's what we got. We got our mental health issues because of the stress that people have to live through in this dysfunctional culture that we live in over here, where anything makes sense and is logical and is good as long as you can make $1 off of it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Zamar, what do you think the fascination is? What do you think the fascination is with the gun with a lot of our young people?
Amongst the younger generations?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I think we have, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the exact word, but we've gangs and thug life and all that stuff now, right? It's been put in this amazing spotlight where it's cool and it's awesome to, tout your gun around and all that stuff. And like what Rico was talking about with, of course, if you're brought up right, hopefully you know better than to do this. But all of the violence in games and whatnot. And I hate to say that because I personally don't have a problem with the war games and the different things of that nature. It's all about, that it's not real. It's just a game. It's just for fun like my husband plays them. Okay.
Can everybody separate? Can everybody separate it like that?
No, there are some who can't. I mean, there was you want to, and like my husband just said in the chat, it's about parenting. There was a guy who got his mind was so messed up and warped from the Matrix. He thought the Matrix was real after those movies came out. And then he goes and he shoots up his parents.
Wow.
So there are people out there who don't know how to separate. And this is an adult who did this. I don't believe he was a child. If he was an older teenager. But again, like we keep saying, that goes back to that mental health issue. There's something up here that's not quite right, because a normal, functioning, healthy human being is going to know how to separate those two things. So I'm not going to blame video games. I'm not going to blame movies. I'm not going to blame any of that. I think that the idea of just it's not being, you got to think too, okay, if we go back, let's go back 100 years. 100 years ago, it wasn't unheard of for a 9-year-old to have a rifle. It wasn't unheard of for them to go out and go hunting, to help protect the farm, to help protect the home, because they were taught. And they were taught responsibility with that weapon, right? It's not the same today. We don't teach our children how to handle something like that with respect.
A lot of times, and we got Cassandra. I want to go to Cassandra as well. Excuse me. A lot of times, I think it has something to do with programming, and what we're being shown, taught across the airwaves. A lot of times, the video games and stuff like that. Does that play a part in it? I think it can. I'm not gonna put all the responsibility on that, but I think it can. We have a video game and people are going around shooting people, Grand Theft Auto. Sometimes it's hard for a younger person to separate this from reality. We have John Wick. We have movies where you're actually watching these people going out there and doing these different things. I think all that has something to do with programming. Those type of situations. Back in the days, they didn't have those things on TV. They didn't have all these different things like that seeks into their psyche. And when it seeks into the psyche, it becomes a part of your reality. Somehow it becomes a part of your reality, and you own it. You own it. And so I say, like I said, for me to say that is video games or television, I think all of that plays a part of it. I think all of that goes into the psyche of the individual, of the young person, and it programs them in a certain way. In a certain way.
Let me interject something with you too on that. We have to remember that obsession is a mental health issue.
Yes.
And if you are obsessed with guns, something ain't right. Because you have to ask yourself, why am I obsessed with guns? Is it because of the noises it makes? Is it because I can hit targets? Is it because of the damage that I see that a bullet can do? I love to see this destruction. I love to hear this noise, this loud banging. What is it that I just love about seeing something that causes so much destruction, even if it's not the devouring of human life? What is it that has me so obsessed that I just love guns, 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 guns?
Mm-hmm.
That's a mental health issue, but those people won't want to admit that it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
It is
just
a problem.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
just one thing? I mean, it's. I just want to ask this question, and this. Just think on this. If we go back, like I said, I'm not even going to say 100 years ago, but let's bring that model back, right? Do you think if we're teaching our kids how to handle these weapons respectfully, if we start making it so taboo, because it seems really taboo now with all of the issues and the pushback and the gun control and all this. So if we were to take our children out, teach them how to respect that nature, how to shoot the weapons, how to respect the weapon, it's only used for these purposes and these purposes only, do you think that maybe that would get rid of some of this?
Like with alcohol, or could it happen with cocaine and heroin and meth too?
Mm-hmm.
Could if we just taught our children, if we taught our children,
Okay.
if we taught our children how to do those, Captain. Do those things, I'm gonna say in a respectful way, would that make those okay?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
We know the damage that they do, but some people say those drugs ain't that bad if once if you don't overindulge. If you're not obsessed with them, addicted.
Exactly. Oh, go, Captain. Go ahead. You want to say something? Cassandra, coming to you next.
Yeah. Let me say this to my sister who keeps talking about the home, and then she went about 100 years ago. We don't want to go because you're dealing with people on this line that 100 years ago we had two different realities. All right. At the same time, we have to understand.
You can't hear him?
I can.
Very low.
Can you hear me?
Very low.
They say it's very very low. Are you talking directly into the phone for me?
Yes. Okay. Let me. How we sound now?
Oh, much better. Much better.
Okay. So when we talk about 100, two different. I like what she's saying. That's the good old America way. 100 years ago, the father was there showing the son how to hunt. He was responsible. But that's not the reality of the day. She has to understand, my dear sister, that the percentage of single-parent home in the African and American and brown community is a little different. So that means there's not no father in the home. There's not no responsible training. I like the attitude. It started at home, yes. But there's no guidance in the home. And you have to understand today the influence that media have, especially social media. You can't ignore that. When you spend $1 million on a 30-second commercial, people don't spend $1 million on a 30-second commercial at the Super Bowl because they're not thinking they can sell that product. They know the power of the influence. So yes, these movies, you go to the box. If it's not rated R, I don't want to see it. Terminator, yes. Unfortunately, you got young people who don't have that parent at home, my sister, teaching them responsibility. That mother sending that child out from the house to go to school, not knowing, my sister, is that young black child or brown child going to come home? Is they going to get shot on their way by some gangbangers? Is they going to get shot by the police? That's the reality. And the reality is they did a study in New York. A lady interviewed a black child, and she said to the child, the lady interviewed the black teenager, and she said, with New York having a strict mandatory gun law, look at this, a mandatory gun law, that if you get caught with a weapon on you, you get a mandatory 1 year sentence. How do you feel about that, Pookie? That man said, I'd rather be caught with a gun than to be caught without one. So the reality is different. People are carrying guns sometimes not because it is a fascination, as I like what Rico said, an obsession. It's a gun culture. It's a gun culture. And unfortunate as it may be, when Ryan, I used to live out in West Bloomfield, so I am from Detroit. I lived in Detroit. I know I trained in the Detroit Police Department. And yes, when you talk about the Tech 9, yeah, that's guns that they don't come in the club. You don't see a man walk up in the bar, he's sitting drinking with a Tech 9. But he may have it in the trunk of his car. And if you got an AK-47, then that's when you're on a mission. You know, you go with an AK-47 when you're on a mission, very rarely. But that is a reality. But I do believe that we have to understand the influence. If we're going to sit and act like the media, the social media, that movies don't have an influence on children whose minds are so undeveloped, and they don't have no parent who could culture them or teach them. The schools is not teaching the African American nothing about himself. Everything has been European culture teaching. You can't deny that. So we have the influence of 100 years ago. We was fighting segregation. We was just fighting to be equal. We didn't have no gun laws forbid. Guns was not accessible 100 years ago to black people. No. But at the same time, you're talking about a reality of America. Cool. But the reality of America is so different now. And we have to address, and let me share this with about the mentality of law enforcement. I want to share this. We gave a training to the police department, Saginaw, Michigan. This was in August, July. I did a training. Do you know what the officer said when we talked about how have you become desensitized? And I had every one of these police officers stand up and say, Officer Kulorski, tell me how you know you have been desensitized since you've been on the police department. He said, Captain, I know I have been desensitized because we went to a homicide and the guy that was there had shot and killed himself. He had committed suicide. While I'm standing over the body, I'm looking, he had a pizza. It was an uneaten pizza. So I opened up the box. I took a slice. I looked down at him. I said, and look what he said. I said to the guy, Dad, I don't think you mind me getting a piece of this pizza. And he ate the pizza.
Wow.
Now, this is a true story. And when he said that, he said, I'm desensitized. Now, is that officer mentally disturbed? Because if I mention that in the public and pointed him out, would the people look at that officer as being sane, or would he look at that officer, he got a mental health issue? When you see an officer walking around with two guns, when you see he got two handcuffs, and he loved to chase. So when we talk about mental health also means you can deteriorate. Because I don't think when he joined the department, when he came out the academy, that he thought he was going that direction. But man, when you work in a society or when you work in a community, Ryan, especially if you're a white officer in the black community and you see the worst of human behavior, when you see a kid, you standing over there and he was killed because somebody wanted his Air Jordans, how does that affect the psyche of a human being who don't see that every day? Eventually, it erodes their humanity, and eventually they too sink into deep depression, police officers. So there's a high rate of alcoholism among law enforcement. There's a high rate of abuse of not illegal drugs, but legal prescription drugs. There's a high rate of divorce. So everybody is affected by the very environment that we're talking about. So it has to be comprehensive in nature. We can't just wipe it with one thing and say, well, I don't understand why. When you look at John Wick, they showing new weapons. Here's a young man. I looked at John Wick. There's a man like that. I like that weapon right there. But do you see that? You know, well, how you gonna get it? In the black community, they don't have the legal means to get a legal weapon. Most of the young men in the black community can't go and get a legal weapon because they got a felony. So how do I get a gun? Here you go, cross the border, like you said, right? Somebody coming out of North Carolina, and you get these illegal weapons. The biggest problem in the black and brown community is illegal weapons, not legal weapons. How do you get illegal weapons out of the hands of immature youth who don't have no balance in the home where some father could take him out on the gun range, take him? That's not a reality in the hood. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a reality in the hood. But the
Wow.
reality is we have to look at both scales of what's going on. Again, I must say, God is taken out of everything. They don't show nothing on television that leads you to God.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to look at the reality. And I love this being a Christian station. But I know after a while the crew will come in and back me up. God. And I can't wait when he gets the Willa, because she's going to drive that point home real well.
Absolutely.
That's on my heart, Raheem.
Good deal. Anybody have anything to say? Great point, Captain. Have anything they want to say to what Cap just said? Then we're going to go to Cassandra, because I know she had something on her heart as well. Anybody got anything on their heart?
Yeah,
I do, but I'll wait.
I agree. I agree with a lot of what Cap's saying. You know, I have no disagreements there. And I agree a lot with what Rico is saying in the chat. You know, it is. It's an epidemic of fatherless homes that take away from the training, right? This is something when I was in college, going through counterterrorism. That's what my bachelor is in, is counterterrorism. And, you know, it is an epidemic of mental health problems. It's a collaboration of things.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just pinpoint it on movies, music, games, things like that. They play a role to some people. Some people have that obsessive compulsive behavior, right? Like Rico was saying with gun nuts, I have several weapons, and I shoot them as often as I can because I was trained. If you're not shooting them, you're not proficient with them, and you don't need them no more. Got to maintain that level of respect and accuracy with your weapons. There are other countries out there, much to other people's questioning, that require their citizens to go do military service for 1 to 2 years. It's a requirement. And when you leave the service, you take your weapon with you. You have to, not an option.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Those are tools that, like my wife was saying, you know, and I'm not disagreeing with what Cap was saying at all, but, you know, 50, 100 years ago, same prospect, right? They taught in school how to use a bow and arrow, how to use a rifle. They showed you the damage it inflicted, and we didn't really have those problems back then. But at the same time, God was still allowed in school. So, you know, it's a whole conglomerate of things, and so many other aspects go into this, not just what we're discussing on the show, but it's hot button topics that get people mad, and they don't want to talk about that stuff because, oh, no, it's this way and that's the only way. No, that's not how this works. That's why we talk about things.
Yeah.
And we get it in the open. It's an agenda. It's an agenda. You look at these movies, you got, everybody keeps talking about John Wick. Well, let's not forget all these series and stuff they're putting out here, like King of Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got all the hood movies too. You got Boys in the Hood. You got Menace to Society. You got all of these things that glamorize being a gangbanger selling drugs in the hood. I grew up around that stuff. My first dead body, I saw it at 10 years old, walking to school, sitting in the car full of money. Dude got smoked. They didn't take his money. It was a message. These are things that go on that people don't talk about, and they want to just allude to other things. It's a big, whole, massive agenda You can even look at the music, right? You look at the music that these young people listening to, especially nowadays. When we was coming up, hip hop had a message, and it was all, in the end, it was a good overall. Yeah, things is dark, but it's gonna get better, right? Now it's, you can't understand what they're saying. Let's take some Percocets. Let's do some drugs. Let's shoot somebody and get some money, get these girls, and that's what life's all about. We don't talk about that though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And I'm a big hip hop enthusiast. So when I hear it, I'm like, no, I'm turning this crap off.
Watch this. Now, Ryan, I know you over there in the D. I see you, Rico. I'm gonna go to Cassandra. I'll come right back to you. But Ryan, you in the D. Who's the greatest? Now, are you gonna say Eminem the greatest rapper of all time? Are you gonna say that?
Maybe at one point. I'm not an Eminem fan anymore.
Okay.
I'm more of a country rap fan. These guys like Adam Calhoun and John Broadnax, they doing the old school thing. They coming out, and yeah, they're white guys rapping, but these guys are putting out that positive message again. Things are bleak, but it's gonna get better, and that's the type of hip hop that I really enjoy.
Okay, good deal. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, we're talking about gun control or lack of gun control in our society today. Specifically, we're talking about here in America. Have we lost it? Is it out of control? Because schools are being shot up every day. I don't know if you saw the news this morning where they say the middle school student was in class.
DeKalb County.
Yeah.
DeKalb County.
Yeah. And the gun fired. Yeah. I was telling them about that.
Yeah, I mean, it.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying it is out of control, and as much as people keep fighting to not have reform. Ain't nobody talking about taking nobody guns away. Having some type of reform to our gun laws is out of control, and it's gonna keep spiraling down. Yesterday, I was at the state capitol, and we were talking. One of the points that I was talking to my senator about was one of the changes that Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence was fighting for was a law that would not allow, once a person has been convicted, charged with domestic violence, that they would not be able to have access to a gun. And it is a uphill battle because, and I'm sorry, we have, and it's mostly the Republicans that are fighting them tooth and nail. This is from legislators inside. They're on the floors talking about these issues. And the Republicans, nothing that says anything about any type of gun reform, they don't want to hear it. Period. They shut it down. They do everything they can to stop it. So if you are so determined that you need to have no changes to our gun laws, then things will continue to do what they're doing. And then you want to keep pointing at certain communities. Well, they're the ones killing everybody. Well, they're the ones doing this. You alive from the pits of hell, and we got to stop that. We have to stop that. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna get mad, so I'm gonna stop right there. We got to do better. You have to have gun reform. I'm not talking about taking anybody's guns away, but you got to have gun reform. The laws have to change.
Wow.
Cassandra, this is where I went you now. I just want to remind you.
Exactly.
I'm trying to keep the cussing down to maybe one word a week now. So I'm just
we got two sons of Warden over there in the corner. So he gives a pass.
Oh, I just get my spot. Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
All right, Cap.
Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like where everybody's going, man, and it really boils down to when you ask this question of why don't they want reform, and there's too much money in play. And then you have the other end of the spectrum. I like rap music. Right about now, most of what you hear is garbage. And I have to also accept the fact that I come from the culture that created that condition. And I found it acceptable at one time. And I was denying that it was a problem and that it was music that I should be listening to. Now I'm the one advocating against it. But see, the problem is, had I been against it from the very beginning, or been owned up to it from the very beginning, it probably wouldn't have been so bad. It wouldn't be to this point. So you know what happens is you have situations where some children would tell you, I wanted to do this because I got it from playing Call of Duty. I got it from playing Grand Theft Auto. It was like a gateway drug. They got introduced into an activity. And once you get introduced, you know, once you might want to see what that feels like. And you don't have that supervision. But then you have some people that love games, just like they love gambling, just like they love alcohol, that would always advocate on behalf of it because they feel like anytime that it has to be held accountable, then it might be something they have to sacrifice because they like it. It makes them feel good. See, now I'm willing to admit, because I was a gamer, but I also know what can happen when you get into it too much. And if games and gambling and alcohol and all those things didn't have such an influence on the brain, then stress wouldn't make people kill people. But see, if stress can have an influence on you, so can those other things. So this is what we have to get to the point that when those people go and say, well, this is what my influence was. You hear children that say this.
Yeah.
That they were motivated by media, by music, by games. They got obsessed. And it was too much access to it. They got it was like the gateway drug. They got introduced to it from the internet. Think about the children now that know about porn and know about sex. Yeah, it starts at home. It starts with the parenting. But at the same time, it's so many ways that people can get access to behavior and to things that they don't need access to, that it's really still hard to stop it. But now you go to these other countries and say, well, you know what? We could put a stop to it. How about if we put a stop to it, then we don't even have to worry about what they're going through over in America. That, yeah, you might like playing your video games, but we're going to put some content on these video games, and we ain't going to leave it up to the parents to just sit back and say because they got a rating system on it that you can have it or not, because you still got a lot of these parents that say, well, it's just a game. It's just a cartoon. If it was that bad, why would they make it a cartoon? Exactly. Just so they can introduce it to your children. Because they know the impact and influence. They know how fragile the brain is. They know how vulnerable and how influential the brain is. Your environment, your conditions, and your atmosphere. So if you get used to seeing people shooting all the time, then shooting ain't gonna be no problem to you. If you get used to seeing people dead all the time, then you might be able to sit back and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich while somebody getting embalmed. You get what I'm saying? That's how, I mean, even though we have a conscious thinking, we have an unconscious thinking. And we have to protect ourselves from that. Even if I love the rap music that I love, I still got to sit back and understand that, man, this is some bad influence, and these people taking this stuff, and now they popping these pills, and they eating these groceries. They're doing all this unhealthy stuff, and they committing this violence. And I got to own up and accept that it is that is happening. I was a gamer. I admit that it does have an influence, and I argue with other gamers all the time that want to say, well, I ain't gonna blame it on the game. Well, you know, that's what happens when it's something that you like and that you love has, you know, can have a negative impact on other people. And what we like to do is also like to make sure that we defend it out of fear that we might have to sacrifice it. That's how that happens. So that's the reason why this stuff still exists. That's the reason why these conditions still exist, because people don't want to sacrifice some things that benefits them. They don't want to sacrifice the money. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to admit that, you know what I'm saying, this gun culture has gone crazy when you got other countries on the same planet showing you, look, man, this gun control thing works. You can reform it, but at the same time, you can put some steps in place to make sure that people are not being obsessed and going overboard with it. But that might be too much like communism. They might start playing politics then. That
Mhm.
might
Go
not
after
be
him.
democratic. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Joseph, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, family. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good, doing good. Gun control, brother. Is it out of control?
Yes, sir.
Is it out of control?
Yes, sir. Well, it's out of control, but it's out of control by design.
Mm-hmm.
Those people who gather at the right-wing think tank are looking for ways to maintain dominance over this country, and if they have to take up guns against the rest of the citizens to make that happen, so be it. They create the climate, this violent climate. You can't speak against gun. That's like speaking against their God, because gun to them is their God.
Mm.
This country was taken by force from the indigenous people, and they've gone around the world and used violence against people, and they understand that, as the Impressions sang that song, the same thing it took to get your baby is going to take the same thing to keep them. So that's the climate we're in, and they create the climate. And then you listen to the rap music, they sing about the climate and not realizing they participated. So those who masterminds are constantly coming up with new ways to make more layers to this. So we'll always be fighting fighting over the symptoms, but the deep sickness we'll never solve the sickness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brother Eddie Conway just passed the other day, Black Panther leader who's spent 44 years in prison for a crime I believe he didn't commit.
Mm-hmm.
But because he was trying to defend the Black community against police brutality, against this violence that we have always experienced since we've been on these soils. Ever since the first shipload of slaves came to this soil, we've experienced violence. And so nothing has changed. But this brother, when the Black Panthers start getting their guns, boy, they didn't have no proper regulations before that. When them brothers start getting them guns, old Ronald Reagan out in California, boy, he said, oh, wait a minute. We got to get these guns out these black folks' hands. But now they don't mind those guns being in our hands as long as we kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I see the whole violent thing. This country gonna continue to be violent. Those with power won't let proper legislation go forward to correct behavior in the society. And I don't know how many more white people it's gonna take to get killed from gun violence before they act. But I know as long as black folk kill each other, there's not gonna be any legislation moving.
Wow. So
we gotta wake up and realize that sometimes you can cooperate in your own oppression.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's a color thing?
It's about maintaining power in this country. And just as they attacked the Capitol on January 6th, they showed the nation and the world that they're willing to use violence as necessary if the political process don't serve their interests.
Wow. Wow.
Now that's right in our faces. If you just have to refuse to look at it, it's right there in your face.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
Man. Now Rico brought up games, and I know he knows I was going to make a comment on this, but I agree with him. I've been into the competitive gaming world and all kinds of things, and there are so many memes on our American society when it comes to competitive games. Using this as an example, there is so much ego involved in being gun-ho that games that require teamwork, America absolutely is horrible at. There's always the people that, you could be the best. They get teams full of the best people in America, but they don't work together and they fail.
Mm-hmm.
They don't win worlds, they don't win championships, and so on. Now, games like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, a new game that just got released that's actually made me very mad, called Hogwarts Legacy. Implemented, and this goes into the mindset stuff of, there's a game called Skyrim that has a moral system. If you do something bad, if you steal, if you do something that's not right, you get in trouble for it. The game reacts to your actions in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But this game, if anyone's ever watched Harry Potter, there are these things called curses, that there is no moral system in that game. And they purposely made it that way so people could be a so-called good wizard, but use curses that literally just straight up kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I got infuriated. And guess what the rating is? Teen.
Mm.
A game that literally has things that straight up can just kill something is rated teen. And then I started paying attention to other, like the rating system in general. And then the parents that are out here just buying and letting kids play games that are and ignoring the rating or ignoring what the game's all about and just letting them do whatever they want. Not all parents. I mean, my kids play games, but we are very, very strict.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just one aspect. And then it's there's so much involved. And then when we get to, more about kids, and then you get into the public school system, and then you got to start focusing on the psychology of that, of peer pressure and drug usage and TikTok and all these other aspects of life. Where are we headed? And what Joseph was just talking about also has it's so full of facts and truth.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime I have brought up gun issues, predominantly with white folk, with other white folks, they get offended so fast, and they'll start sprouting stuff that ain't right, that ain't got no true facts behind it, just to keep them, because they need them or something. None of that. I don't get it. The facts are there. Why do they ignore it? Or don't want to accept it, or viewing life through rose-colored glasses? I ain't sure what it is anymore. I guess you could say I've been surrounded by so many over the past few years, I guess predominantly Texans, that I have a very skewed view of white folks more than I ever have.
Wow.
Because they're so brainwashed. I'll say it, and I am white skinned.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's a messed up society we live in, and that is the truth.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Zamari, what's on your heart, sis?
Not a thing. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Let me go to the phone line. Let's go to the phone line. We got a few people that's on the phone line here. As a matter of fact, Queen, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am awesome.
Good deal. Good to have you. We're talking about gun control, or the lack of gun control in this country. Is it out of control?
It's way out of control. It's beyond out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Most young people of color who are killed by a gun that's on the street, an illegal gun. Either it was stolen from someone, or it was bought from someone, or it was just given to them. There's a lot of stuff that's out of control with guns. I'm a CWP carrier, and I do carry my weapon, but I carry my weapon for protection. I don't carry my weapon to go and just literally take someone's life. But that's what is happening, and it's not just here. It's all across the whole world. Look at Iraq, Ukraine. I mean, look at Ukraine. How them people came in there. I have videos from people who were actually killed over there, and they just, trying to take over their country. And in the United States, they're never going to be able to reform gun control, because no matter what they put on paper, man is not going to oblige by it.
Mm-hmm.
We can try, but I mean, how can they literally say we're going to do the reform gun control, and then have Americans to oblige by it, or people, period, to oblige by it? I hate what goes on when we lose our young children to gun violence, young people want to be gang members, all of that. It's ridiculous that we have to lose them to that. But honestly, I don't feel even once they do that, it's not going to make a difference, because war has been set in its ways so long.
Hello? I think she may have hit a bad spot, because can y'all hear, or is it just my end? Can you hear Rico? Okay, good. Yeah, we have to get back. I think she might have hit a bad spot or whatnot. Cassandra, talk to me, sis. What's on your heart?
Yeah, when we say that the United States will never do gun reform, I think it would be extremely hard, because you just have people that are so set, like she said, are so set in their ways. But there are so many things that over the years people said the United States will never do this, the United States will never do that. But we see as time goes on, those changes come.
Mm-hmm.
They said we'd never have the right to vote. They said we'd never. I'm talking about Black people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff that we say that the people say that would never happen in this country, and it's happening. So I have to believe, just because I want to believe that God is God, I have to believe that there can be some type of gun reform done so that we could stop the amount of killing that's taking place in this country. So I'm going to hang on to that. I just want to hang on to that. And if it comes out to be not true, then, it just doesn't come out to be true in my lifetime. I don't believe I may see it in my lifetime, but I believe before this world ends and this country ends, that there can be change.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Cap, what's on your heart, brother? Ryan, coming to you next.
I like what Sister said. I mean, what would we have if we didn't have hope, family? What would we have if we didn't have hope? Hope is what we all are holding on to. As my sister said, we never thought, I didn't ever think in my lifetime, this is true, that I would ever see a Black president,
Mm-hmm.
but we did.
Yeah.
I thought in my lifetime, I would never thought I'd see a female Black president, vice president, but we have. So I like what Sis said. We're not in control of nothing. If we do believe that there's a God and that God exists, and those on this line, I know we are God's very people. At least I can speak for myself. I do believe that the ultimate end belongs to Him. And I do believe that many things are pushing towards universal change. Look what we got on the line. We got some brilliant people on this line. White, Black, we got Republicans. I don't know if we got Republicans, Democrats. We got indigenous people. You got a nice rainbow of people from different experiences. And I want to say this before I get off. I want to salute you, Brother Ryan, for your service in law enforcement. I know it's not an easy task, but very some do. Y'all get your flowers while you live. So I just wanted to say that, because I got mad respect for the great men and women in law enforcement.
Absolutely.
But I have to say honestly that I do believe that you cannot reform the department. I do believe that you have to tear down the whole culture and start back over again. We have to scrap the culture that creates great men and women who come in with the desire to bring about a change, but they have to adapt to a culture that is bent on being able to do it their way, which is not working. But however, Raheem, the brilliance of change begins with what we're doing. There's no question that I am a more knowledgeable person than I've been in the last 45 hours since I've been on it, because Rico has said some brilliant things. Ryan has said some brilliant things. Hey, you know, my man Badger Badger stick to the guns, and he says some brilliant things. So when I get off this line today, I am more knowledgeable about, that was a good point my man brought. That was a good point she brought up. But at the end of the day, we're going to go back to our perspectives, lifestyles, and we could take, we're like bumblebees. We're like bees. The bee, he goes from a flower to another flower. But the bee is going to the flower to drink the sweet nectar of that flower. But the flower would give the bee the sweet nectar, but the flower benefits too, because the flower gives that bee pollen. Now that bee don't know, but he's taken the pollen from one flower and pollinated another flower. So there's a beautiful relationship. We're on this line getting knowledge, and that knowledge is beautiful. It's like the nectar. But when we leave, we also, like that bee, we take this knowledge and we pollinate our community. I will share what I have in this conversation, and I pollinate. So I just thought that's what we're doing. I'm sorry, y'all. You know I'm known for giving great analysis. But nevertheless, that's what's on my heart right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ryan, talk to me, brother.
I'm here. What you want me to go at right now?
I
appreciate the flowers, Cap. I appreciate the flowers.
Absolutely.
So, you know, he's right. We got to take this information, and we can't just sit in here and talk daily. As blessed as I am to be able to do that at the moment, it's probably not going to happen forever. So I'm enjoying it while I can. But we got to take this information and not just let it become a dead subject, right? We got to talk about things and engage, not just with each other but other people. But it's got to become, things have to become a regular occurrence, a regular talking point. Otherwise, they just get lost in the wind. We just wasted our breath for 3 hours on stream.
Exactly.
So, one thing that, I can recall when I was a CO was going into jail, and I was heavily involved in ministry at that time when I first became an officer. And I would go in every day, and I would put up scriptures on the board for some of those cats in there that was into their scriptures. I would hold a prayer meeting in the pod, me, myself, no weapons, upwards of 100 inmates, everybody wanting to kill me because I had a badge. And we would have civil discourse. We'd have that prayer time. And as time went on, the other officers in that room would tell me, you need to stop that mess. They're going to get you one of these days. Someone's going to get you in the back. And that day never came for me because of the respect that I had from those individuals in there. I wasn't walking in, kicking doors, yelling at people, making their lives worse every day for an already bad situation, right? So it didn't matter what was going on in a pod at the time. It could be a full-fledged riot, and Detroit walk in the pod and everybody on their hands and knees, hands behind the back. Oh, Detroit here. Calm it down. I had inmates who would take another inmate off somewhere where I couldn't see and do something to them if they talked to me sideways. Okay, I'm getting to a point. I know it sounds like it's off topic, but that's every walk of life that I dealt with in that jail. I had Muslims, I had Christians, I had atheists, I had pedophiles, everything you could possibly deal with, and I was in charge of the whole. The people that couldn't even get along with people in general population every day. That was my job. And I still found a way, using my mouthpiece, to have civil discourse with these people. Did I have to put hands on people sometimes? Sure. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. But I say all of that to tie it into this. We sit here every day, different walks of life, different topics, hard topics, some of them soft, and we manage to have civil discourse with each other.
Yes.
And that's how we bring about change. That's how we bring about change. Not calling somebody out on this or calling somebody out on that, or taking things out of context and painting it with the race card or painting it with this. We have to be able to have civil discourse amongst all people, or nothing is ever going to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's good. Queen, you got cut off there. Want to finish your thoughts, sis?
Yes, I did. I was coming up the road and it just shut off. Yeah, the gentleman was just speaking. I applaud you because it is great to see when you have a person who can make a difference, and you made a difference to your facility where you were working at. So I applaud you for that.
Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest things is people being able to be influenced, and when they influence people, they're making a change in it. For the reform, it would be awesome if we had an influencer who could really, really speak up and people listen. I think that's the biggest part is people hear, but they don't really listen. They don't want to be a part of it. As the other gentleman was saying, about God, I completely understand. God can probably reach down right now and handle it all. He can reach down now and handle it all. But I don't think he will. And the reason why is because he always wants to see if man is going to follow him first. And if man follow him first, then you're going to get the result that we want. The, laying down guns, a child who may find a gun and say, hey, I'm going to take this to my mama. I'm going to take this to the police station. I'm not going to get out here and I'm not going to try to use it. Or people out here that just like breaking in gun shops or just getting a hold of illegal weapons, period. Some states have the turning law, every now and then they have that turning law, no recourse or anything. All they want are the guns off the street. And they get a good amount, but they'll be surprised how many are still out there. And with so many killings in each state, I can't remember a day that I've been alive that I've heard there was no killing by gun.
Wow.
Not one day. And that's a problem where we can't even naturally say no killing day as something that we can appreciate and look at and say, hey, we want to build more of that. We want to build more of that. And we can't build it because it won't occur. Or excuse me, it hasn't occurred. Let me say that. I'm not gonna give up hope in that. I'm gonna say it has not occurred. But it would be great. I think it would be absolutely awesome for this world, for the United States, in every single state, have at least one day where we can celebrate. We had no killings this day.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. That's good. Leonard, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Good morning, sir. Good. How you doing this morning?
Thanks.
Good deal. We're talking about gun control or the lack of gun control. Is this country, specifically we're talking about the United States of America, Are we out of control, man? Have we lost it in regards to gun control with all this violence that's going on?
Well, first of all, you never really had a lot of gun control to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Have been around since this place has been around. And if you look at the history of it, you can tell how it's changed since its conception, from Americans having the right to bear arms, why they have a right to bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some people fall into the trap, start believing that guns are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
People are the problem still. And you have to reduce their capacity to do all these horrible things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's really one of the purposes of laws. People have always killed one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot more, looks bigger now and sensationalized now because of the media and everything. But this has always been going on. It just changes just a little bit, but it's people. You can have guns all over the place. Decent people are not going to go out here and just shoot up other people.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to deal with is, in our society, these wicked individuals who want to use these guns on people just because they're having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get caught up in the media's talking points and the other side on the right to bear arms and this. No, you got to have some laws. Like, say, for instance, the Brady Bill reduced a lot of sensationalized violence that you see on TV. But you got an administration in that let that expire. And that was a very good deal. There was nothing wrong with the Brady Bill. But because of certain people in certain positions, they want more chaos. So they're going to let all the crazy people have the guns as well, so you shoot and kill one another. So you can constantly feed their system. Their system of selling guns. You hear all this stuff, gun control, gun control. You ain't stopped people from making them. So that lets me know you're really serious about gun control. You ain't stopped not one manufacturer from making guns a certain way. You put no limits on how many guns they can put on the market. Where are the sting operations to block all the guns going into the communities? But yet, you pulling people over and beating them to death over what's considered a traffic violation. It's the priority of society that is going to have to change as it relates to these issues. People will have to realize this is why you vote. You know why you don't have a gun control bill? Because you keep letting Republicans in office.
Wow.
Think about that when you're sitting at home, not voting. That's how you participate. That's how you make your interest heard. You got to do it, or it won't change, because the people who are in control, it is not their priority to change the situation. They're fine with it. Trust me, as awful as it is. And that's why they haven't changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be more people that are concerned, use this authority to put those people in those seats of government to govern the way you want them to.
Wow.
You can't keep complaining about gun control and don't vote.
It's good. That's good.
You gotta vote that way.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Joseph, what's on your heart, brother? Joseph, you there? Joseph?
Yeah, I had to find the remote button. He was trying to fight with me.
It looked like it was winning.
I don't. Huh?
It looked like it was winning for a second there, brother.
It was winning, boy. It was winning. I don't think we're going to wake up one day and celebrate that there's no gun violence unless we all join together and make that happen. And I'm with Cap. I'm not hopeless. I don't give up hope. But I do understand the dynamics, and this is what I think we don't want to acknowledge. The dynamics that are at play here. I mean, this whole anti-abortion movement is out of fear that many whites will become the minority in this country. This is a reality. The death, and there, we learned that there was 45,000 gun deaths in 2020 alone. We're not talking about 21 and 22. And we're only 2 months in 23, and there's been 67 mass shootings. But in the Black community, the gun deaths is eliminating the threat, because someone is afraid to become the minority in this country because Black and brown citizens or population is increasing. Then you only have to look at the results of policies to see what is happening. What has priority in this country? Now we say, many say they're pro-life. How can you be pro-life and not be concerned about 45,000 gun deaths in 2020 alone? And you're pro-life. It's not adding up. It's not adding up. And the politicians are twisting words. And they make you think something is right when it's wrong, and it's a problem. I mean, look, during the Super Bowl, they said they spent $100 million on Christian ads. Did anybody else get that? Or now, why do they want to use Christianity? The right wing. Why do they want to use Christianity? Because Christianity makes people passive. We say, well, we all just need to get along and love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Yeah, Jesus said that too. But Jesus also said, think not that I came to bring peace. No, I came to bring a sword. A sword. The sword is the word of truth. And the thing that scares people in this country the most is truth. That's the greatest fear in this country, is the truth. That's why they're trying to suppress education and keep the children from learning facts about American history. Because if the children learn the truth about our past, they too will be uneasy about it, and they want to make changes in the future. And the right wing knows this. So they got to hold on to power. And so gun violence is all in the mix. It's unfortunate. We're not going to get policies to stop gun violence unless everybody in this country who really are concerned mobilize and make the politicians pass the right legislation.
Okay.
That's my feeling about it.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Man, everybody hitting it on the head, man. I think, man, I mean, like Leonard said some huge stuff, man. Joseph just bought it around to get people to know the I'm gonna say the ulterior motive, because most things have an ulterior motive, and Queen said that about finding or having an influencer with a big enough voice. And to be honest with you, that's what they use. They use the Clint Eastwoods and the Charlton Hestons, the one that played Moses, to speak on behalf of guns, the gun lobby. You get what I'm saying? See, it's still big money. It's still big money in these funeral homes burying these children and these kids that's killing out here in these drill music. And even the music industry is selling that music and that gun. It's helping them sell that mentality, that environment, and we love it. Some of us, we love this music. You have, I mean, look, I'm say it like this. As long as there's money being made in it, it's going to be hard to beat it. But I'm not hopeless either.
Yeah.
I like what Ryan was doing, because Ryan pretty much gave the example of how it can happen. And you do that by bringing peace to the conversation. You bring peace and positivity and progress. Because what he did, he created an environment where people, that was the expectation and the standard was peace and progress and positivity, and we're gonna leave out of here happy and feeling good. It ain't a whole lot of feeling good, but see what we have to do, we have to really do some real deep soul searching and admit some things that really and truly we don't like to admit. And the thing is that one of the things we have to admit, like Leonard hit on, a lot of people buy guns and want guns for the wrong reason.
Yep.
And the minute you admit that these things that you manufacture, some people want them so they could kill as many black people in churches as they can find. Some people want these guns for the entirely wrong reason. It's because they want to destroy other human beings. The minute you acknowledge that, then you would consider making these laws more, I'm gonna say, put the laws in a situation where it's harder for these people to get a hold to them. You can give all the mental tests you want, but there's still some people that's gonna be able to hide that they want these guns for the wrong reason. Oh, we see that you got 50 guns. What you need 50 guns for? Oh, I'm stockpiling for a day of the revolution. Wait a minute. We might not need to keep on manufacturing guns if these are people buying them. Because they buying it for the wrong reason. They say they want to overthrow the government. Well, they got the right to buy them. So you still not going to address that you have an entire society of people that want to buy guns for the wrong reason, but at the same time, you lobbying for them to have access to these guns. Man, that's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction. It's us contributing to our own demise and to a culture that somebody is benefiting and profiting from, whether it's race-based or money-based. Whoever is somebody profiting from it, and we losing, but we making it succeed. So, you know, I mean, I look at it like this, man. I have to admit that I love me some sex, but I also admit that I can love it and abuse it and do it to an unhealthy amount, and other people can too. I love some money. I love, I mean, it's a lot of things I love to do. If I overdo, I love me some food. But if I overdo it, it can be unhealthy. And I love me some guns. And what I found out was that in a dark way, my love for guns was unhealthy. The thing that I loved about guns to a certain extent, it wasn't good for a lot of people. My desire, the fact that I like to got killed by an assault rifle, it warped me and made me go in a different direction. And I stopped being a pistol man. And I wanted something that was going to do some damage to whoever and how many other people I needed to do it to. And it was all from a very unhealthy desire. And I can admit that because I know I ain't the only one that was running around here feeling like, and guess what? Even though I speak all this good things and all this good energy and stuff like that, I still have a real dark desire and craving when I see some things that guns do. Sometimes I look at John Wick and I'm fascinated, and then other times I'm like, woo, man, that ain't good. That ain't good to keep looking at that stuff because I got desensitized one time. That wasn't good for other people. So I'm willing to say that even though I love guns and even though I will need a gun to protect myself for the right reason, there were so many wrong reasons that I wanted a gun that lets me know that there should be something in place to prevent a more regulations in place to sort of limit people's access to the abundance of guns that are available. Because I ain't the only one that was running around here wanting guns for the wrong reason. Now, Raheem is gone. I know we're still streaming. And so we have Badger. It's been a while since Badger spoke. Okay, there he is. That Raheem just popped back in.
Okay, yeah, man. They kicked me out, man. They didn't want this conversation to go forward for whatever reason. We can go ahead. We can go to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
I mean, it's not much different than what I was saying earlier. I agree with what Rico's saying. The folks in power want to stay in power. They'll spread whatever lies, misinformation, untold facts, and whatever they can to keep things the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I'm a firm believer that we, the American people, need to take responsibility for what's going on and make sure whoever we vote to put in those seats have the same goals. And until we come together and do that, not much is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where things are. You know, like I was I know some of y'all have been hearing on the news and stuff how Jewish people have been getting some of the blame for these gun control laws that are wanting to get passed, right?
Mm.
But they're also quoting that, you know, teachers in Israel can get guns. How does that make sense? You're going to praise them for something that ain't really true, but you're going to condemn them here because they're wanting to implement the laws that are over there in Israel. How does that make sense?
Mm. Wow. Wow.
It don't, does it?
Mm.
But I mean, it's all right, ain't it?
Mm.
I'm sarcasm.
I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're
So
doing.
it's just one. How many double standards do we allow every day? Like how many? It's sickening. And then when facts get presented, like all the new science, I believe someone was making a comment about Dare Drugs, the DARE program,
Mm-hmm.
and you know scientific studies talking about how it actually increased kids taking drugs because it didn't really work. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it was a program that was implemented to try to tell, you know, the truth of what drugs do. But at the same time, mental health access was never increased. You know, people stepping in when kids were in need of help because of their abusive environment didn't increase. All they did was just throw a program out there. How do you expect it to work if you ain't got the other stuff that needs to go with it?
Mm.
Like it's so on and so on and so on. Every time something's implemented, it's only one portion of it, while all these other things need to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I said I was going to go to Zamara next hour, but we have Friday on the line. I hadn't had a chance to come to her as of yet. So Friday, good morning. How you doing this morning?
See, Friday?
Yes.
How you doing?
How you doing this
Cut
morning?
out for a second. I wasn't doing. Doing all right.
Good. We're talking about gun control or the lack of gun control here in the United States of America. Is it out of control? Can there be some handlebars put on that thing so it can make more sense? Gun control. What's on your heart?
I believe it is out of control in the sense of there's been minimal regulations put in place to help manage it, and then the ones that were put in place that help ensure as much as possible, it's not fail-proof, that those who have identified and or self-identified through other actions being irresponsible to own it has been minimalized or revoked. So even to the point of some states saying, hey, you don't even need a license. You can open carry if you feel like it. And it's double-sided because they, in my opinion, want to try to trap people. But at the same time, because other policies and regulations have not been formed in a way to truly have equality and equity across the board, they're going to be sectors of society who will always need to get plugged in and not proper.
Hey, Friday. Do you have your window rolled down? Because I hear some background hissing coming from you, or you must be on, or you're on speakerphone.
Not down, but I am driving.
Okay.
So you probably are getting that background.
Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So because of that, I believe that those that are benefiting from the fact that there are minimal to no regulations in terms of gun control don't want it, either from NRA to other vested interests and lobbyists in that sector. But at the same time, even if they impose them, they're only going to enforce it mainly, in my opinion, on the sector of society that they're already taking advantage of. You know, yes, you have your true hunters out there, and then for those that are true hunters and use it for those reasons, then of course. But at the same time, I don't think you need a, you know, AR-15 or a 50 cal to put down a deer. You understand? So we have to look at what guns are being used in violence and the access thereof. I mean, for certain populations, they say that they're too stupid to know where their finger is to their nose, but somehow they can mastermind a whole gun trade. So it really begs to question, you know, what is the real angle? Back in the day where there was no military and all these things and everybody was every man for themselves, it made sense. But a lot more than the gun regulation needs to be reviewed and reformed and you know, as far as the Constitution is concerned. Am I saying wipe out the right to bear arms? No, I think you should be able to have it, but there should be regulations that make sense and that will be equally enforced. But the enforcement part is what muddies the water, because right now there's already things on the books that aren't properly enforced or enforced heavily on one sector of the population over others.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Zamar, let me ask you a question. Zamar, are you there? Is there a combination between gun control and people being in power? Because, and the reason why I'm asking that question, because they say a lot of times people don't want to give up their power, and that's why they're always talking about gun control, keeping their weapons. Is there a combination there?
I can tell you what it says
Mm-hmm.
as far as our Constitution.
Okay.
And in our Constitution, it does tell us that we have the right to bear arms. And why do we have the right to bear arms? Why was that so important to our forefathers, that we had that right to bear arms? So that we could stand against our country if ever needed to, if our government ever tried to overpower or overrun us in whatever sense, civil war, whatever you want to call it. So we stand to fight, we have a fighting chance to come against our government. That is why we have the right to bear arms. That is why our forefathers put that in our Constitution. It wasn't so much so we could go out in the streets and shoot each other up, or because we got mad at a spouse who was cheating, or this reason or that reason. It was for two purposes. One, to protect yourself, and two, for hunting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say on that.
Okay, good deal. Ryan, what's on your heart, brother?
Well, I'm a echo chamber my wife on that one. Much as Badger doesn't like guns and doesn't say we need him to hunt, certain times you do. There's a reason for it, but I'll digress on that one. The reason, yeah, you have to look, like a lot of people paint this picture of the Constitution and the forefathers that's not really accurate. They put that in play, but just in case something were to happen, like she said, we have an ability to defend ourselves. When you think about defending yourself versus, and I know somebody's going to bring up posse comitatus, which if you don't know what that means, that's a law that says the military can't be used against us. On the box, excuse me, sorry. But I can tell you that there's legislation that's been passed to circumvent that. So how are you going to defend yourself and your family with a slingshot or a bow and arrow versus somebody rolling up with a 50 cal machine gun, tearing your house up to bits? That's the point of that. And they were so smart when they crafted this document, because they knew times would change. They knew things would advance technologically, that they did not put a limitation on things because they knew it would change. So if we still out here with blunderbusses and powder rifles trying to protect ourselves versus automatic rifles, we're going to fail. So they didn't put a limitation on things for that purpose. That is why they didn't put a purpose on those things. These men, for whatever gift that they had to foresee the future and foresee the change that was going to come across the country at some time, were geniuses. So it's even down to going back and talking about slavery. They knew that it was going to change. There were some of those people that signed those paperworks. They may have had slaves and got rid of them. They didn't like the idea, but they went along with it. Some of them, you know, regardless, slavery is bad, so don't get the wrong idea. But some of them took those guys that were working their fields, those men and women, and they treated them better than they treated their own family, right? Because they knew there was going to be a change at some point. It was going to change. Now here we are, and we got to change, and we're still fighting about it. You're still arguing, still bringing up all this other stuff when we need to be working on what's happening right now. We're talking about today, gun violence, what's happening right now. Stop dealing with that stuff, and let's deal with what's happening right now in all of our communities. That's really what I got to say about that. Like, it's driving me crazy. And you know, being a white guy puts me on a list, right? When I say things like that, people get in their feelings. It's easy for you to say, stop dealing with the past, but we have to. In order to move forward, we have to deal with what's happening right now.
Can I echo what he said?
Yeah, go ahead.
I love what he said just then. And what he's saying really is echoing the fact that what's going on right now is not echoing what the forefathers intended. They didn't intend for kids to make videos waving guns and to make music about shooting their ops and killing each other the way that they are. You know what I'm saying? Most people's intentions for getting guns aren't for the same intentions that the forefathers had in the past. So yeah, back then at that time, that was acceptable, inappropriate. But in this day and time, it's a totally different reason why people want these guns. So now that's why it needs to be some adjustment. I mean, Ryan said it perfectly. We talking about in this day and time. If everybody in this day and time was getting guns for the reasons why they said in the past, cool. Those guns wouldn't be used for the reasons that they're being used for right now. People wouldn't be coming up in churches killing 9 people. They weren't shooting up grocery stores or schools. You get what I'm saying? So now people are wanting and using guns for their desensitized, sick motives to hurt other people. That ain't what the forefathers intended. So we could bring up the reason why they wanted us to bear, or they gave us the right to bear arms. Totally agree, legitimate. But now in this day and time, so many hundreds of years later, it's out of order. And I don't think they knew that people was going to be making 3D printed guns and selling them illegally. And those people that want those guns illegally, they don't want them for the right reason or the legal reason. They want them for the wrong reason. And this technology exists right now that the forefathers didn't know about. So now something has to give. We ain't trying to take nobody guns. We just trying to make sure that people aren't abusing and using them in the wrong way, because that's what exists today. In the same time that Ryan is talking about, in this day and time, it's out of control.
Exactly. Cassandra?
Okay, so in our, you know, and we have to be specific. In our community, there's something totally different going on than most communities. Not all communities, but we see what's happening in the Black community with guns. So I definitely need to see what are we going to do to stop it in our communities. How? I need the person that has that plan. Then let's put that out there so that I can start implementing it in my community, because I'm all for that. I'm all in. Tell me what it is that you think is going to stop. Every day here in Atlanta, I'm seeing 2, 3, 4 murders in my community, just down in Atlanta. So if somebody has that plan, then you tell me, so that we can, pull back on some of the gun issues that I have, and when it comes to the past and why they said we should have guns. No, first of all, when those laws were made, Black people wasn't even in the picture for having guns, because we could be killed just for having a gun. So it's a whole nother dynamic that you're talking about. And I believe, I'm going to leave it there. Yes, the person that has the plan that is going to help us to stop some of the gun violence in our community, that's the person I want to hear from the most.
That's good. That's good. Captain?
Let me share with you, Sister Cassandra. I'm the founder, of course, over the Peacekeepers Global Initiative. We have 32 chapters. About a month ago, I assembled all my heads, and I have now implemented what we call a 3-year comprehensive plan. Now, this 3-year comprehensive plan includes 3 phases. I recognize that, when you have gun violence in our community, it's because we're not addressing the social condition that creates it. If you want to stop the gun violence in our community, we must address this social problem: unemployment, single-family homes, drug and alcohol. All of these are real problems. Now, if we want to stop it, let's attack the social problem. Now, it's going to take a long time now. That is talking about being proactive. So look at the 3-year comprehensive plan. The first phase of the plan is to deal with myself. You've got to deal with the family. We must address this Black family. We've got to bring it back together again. When you go in front of me, that phase, it covers so many issues, marriages. It covers spousal abuse. It covers domestic violence. That's phase 1. We have to make the home again conducive to these young people having a lifestyle with principles and values. So we got to deal with the home. That's phase 1. Phase 2, we must address young people. We must meet them where they are. Under phase 2, we're talking to young people about the issues of drugs, music. There's so much to deal. Education, schooling, that's very important under phase 2. Phase 3, we must talk about the economic independence in our community. We must be able to control by giving businesses and trade to these young people and get people out of our community who don't have the best interests of our community by sucking our community of resources and opening up business and giving us not quality but poor quality service, and then take the money to their community. We got to stop that. We have to begin to start building Black businesses to give these young people hope that we can give jobs, and not only jobs, but jobs training. I believe we have to have a long-term goal. That's the reality. It's going to take 3 to 5 years to turn this ship around. If we're not, so we can't be reactive. We have to be proactive. It's not going to stop overnight, but we have to begin somewhere. It's all the street. That's my plan. I can't think about everybody else. But this is what we're in certain cities that I have peacekeepers. It's a small, but this allow people who want to give funding to what I do. They say that makes sense, Cal. You're right. Phase 1, you've got to deal with the home. Ain't nobody gonna argue with that. That's what my sisters came on talking about. The home. That makes sense. Phase 2, that really makes sense. We have to meet young people where they're at. We have to begin to address their issues. And in phase 3, we have to have an independent economic base that when we get this all thing together, these young people must have jobs, and not the kind of jobs that where they're flipping a hamburger. We have to give them skills where they're learning how to be plumbers, carpenters, electricians. That's a reality. 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years. That's my goal. I can't speak on everybody else, but that's what we're trying to do. That's what's on my heart right now.
Good deal. Good deal. And let me go to this young lady. Well,
That's so funny. Hey, Raheem, good morning. Good morning, Glow.
good morning. Good morning. We're talking about gun control or the lack of gun control here in the United States of America. You being there in Chicago, is it out of control?
Ooh, Raheem. It is so, man, it is so out of control here in Chicago with the gun violence. And I just, man, you know, a lot of people are on edge because of the carjacking, the stealing of the Hondas, the Kias. I mean, it's just so messy. But we was warned of these times. But I was thinking about some things when they were talking about how the government, what do the government do in the laws that we got in place for guns? People break laws every day.
Yeah. So
trying to keep a gun, trying to manage guns by law, that just ain't working. And a lot of people should be done on this, but I was just thinking, what if the guns were controlled by law enforcement, that they stop people from just normal people from manufacturing and delivering them. If they had did that from the beginning, it might have been something different. That's just me thinking that way. I don't know if it's a good idea, bad idea, but I tell you what, it's better than the one we got right now. And that's what's on my heart right here.
Good deal. Good deal. Leonard?
Raheem, word of caution. We need comprehensive gun control.
Okay.
And it ain't black and white. It ain't about black and white. See, what I'm not into legislating people's feelings. And what I just heard, I could probably run for office based on what I just heard. And I could get all of the racist white. I could run on the path and say, you know what? I don't think certain Negroes should have guns. How does that sound to you?
Sound racist.
Honestly, how does that sound?
Sound racist.
Exactly. So we're going to have to lift this thing to a level that is comprehensive. There are so many laws in place. There are laws that have come about for instance, Violence Against Women Act. And that was a particular act that looked at domestic violence, trying to protect women. Why? Because women seem to be the victims in that domestic violence situation. We had guns, like you got to think about it. The gun controls of like in the 60s, late 60s. That came about because not just it was assassination of President Kennedy, Martin Luther King, as well as his brother, Kennedy's brother, right? So they've been piecemealing gun control since the 30s. I like how she brought up, I can't remember her name, about the intent of the amendment, because you got to be careful with the amendment people. Then you have an issue in the Black community, as you see Cap and Rico are more involved in. But we have to be careful that we don't oppress ourselves. Now, some of the acts there used to be acts that legislated manufacturing and you had to be licensed and you couldn't transport. And, we still have laws based on the transportation of weapons. President Obama's administration really focused on how folks, I think, were getting guns. I believe, and Ms. Willer can help me out about that.
Leonard? Leonard, you there?
I think he in one of them bad spots too, man.
Yeah. We just lost him. Yep, just lost him. Zamari, what's on your heart, sis?
Nothing else really. I'm over this topic, honestly. Like I said, it doesn't matter. It's just not going to matter what sort of reforms, what you do, what you take away. If you take them away altogether, or we keep them and we try to figure out something else, right? Let's just hypothetically say we don't have any guns here anymore. Like I just said, there's still other ways to do that. There's knives, there's forks, there's vehicles, there's scissors, your own two hands. If someone is intent on hurting another human being, they are going to do that. There is nothing that's going to prevent them from doing that.
So basically, we should work on changing the hearts of man.
I think so. I think that's what it comes down to, because look, over in England, like it was said earlier, right? I don't even think they're allowed to carry over there at all. I don't think they have that. They're not allowed to have them, even the police, right? But yet you see videos of people beheading someone in the middle of a street. Not having access to a gun did not prevent them from still performing an act of violence. So we just need to be careful about what we're talking about here, because like you said, Raheem, it's about the hearts of men. I don't think it's so much about the guns particularly. I think it's the hearts of men.
Have you ever seen a situation where as an individual, two scenarios with the same person in a club, and something's about to break out? Excuse me, something is about to break out, and they say, you know what, man, I'm just going home. I ain't even gonna deal with this. I'm going home. The next night he come there, same scenario breaks out, but he have his gun this time. Would his reaction be different?
Would whose reaction be different about going home?
No, the guy. There's a guy. He's in a club one night, and some break out, and he said, "You know what? I ain't even dealing with this. I'm going home." The next night, he come back to the same club, and the same people are there. Same situation break out, but tonight he brought his gun with him. Would his reaction be the same? I'm just going home, or would that gun give him a false sense of security, ego, or whatever you want to categorize it as, and make him do some things?
Well, if he's not involved in this situation, what would it matter?
You can give her a true scenario. Give her a true scenario. If the guy in Las Vegas had a room full of knives and swords, could he have thrown them out the window and killed all those people?
Wait, what?
If the guy in Las Vegas that killed all those people had knives and swords and rocks, would he have been able to kill all those people?
You can still do a lot of damage with that stuff. Come on, Rico. You can't, not as much as a bullet that goes however many miles per hour, right? I understand. I get what you're saying. But
so we're not trying to take the guns away. We just want to make sure people that want to use them for the wrong reason don't have as much easy access availability to it. See, I think you think that we're trying to take guns completely away. And if you like even research Japan, you can get a gun in Japan, but the government has created a culture where the people really don't even find a need for it. So we can have it. I mean, like I said, we agree you need to change the heart of men, but at the same time, without a gun, Dylan Roof can't kill 9 people. Without a gun, that guy can't go into that school in Texas and keep police at bay and kill so many children without those type of weapons. So it's still I mean, this ain't what the forefathers expected. So there still has to be some reasoning.
Sometimes a gun to give you a false sense sometimes a gun to give you a false sense of confidence.
But like what you said, Rico, right? Like you're not, I get you. It's coming off like people, they're saying gun reform, gun control, right? Eventually it is going to come down to the fact that our forefathers putting that in place to protect us for our own protection against our own government, if ever they become whatever you want to call it. I can't, my words are not working today. What's the word?
I think we agree with that part of it. We accept that part of it.
Right. So, but the point is, even if we have more of this reform, right, it's people who want those weapons are still going to get those weapons regardless. That's my point. It doesn't matter, you know, regardless of how the system is created, regardless of what you want to put in place, people who shouldn't have them will still find a way to have them. It just happens.
And I wish I had someone here that actually lived in New York for the last few years, because they're real hard on guns in New York City. They're real hard on guns, and I think it has deterred a lot of people from actually. I ain't gonna say they don't have guns, but walking around up and down the street with the guns in their possession. I mean, if the gun is at home, it's one thing, but if you're out in the street and you don't have the gun with you, you can't. In order for you to do something, you got to go back home, get that gun, come back and do what you're gonna do, and hopefully within that journey that you're going on, something will click in your mind. And you'll be like, man, I ain't getting involved in this. But I think not having.
Raheem.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What's on your heart?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, we talk about other countries and we're supposed to be this great country that has gotten all of the technology and we're so smart. We're so dang smart and great. But you take a country like a place like the UK, right? Let's just use UK. They have 0.4% deaths per 100,000 people. The U.S. has almost 4% deaths per 100,000 people. So even though their laws say no, you cannot carry guns or whatever, look at how many lives are saved doing that compared to what we have here in this great country. Yes, and gun reform, we need to have some type of gun reform. I don't care. We need to do something. And I did not say, I repeat, I have never said take anybody's guns away. I never said that. But we need to do something when it comes to guns in this country. If it's not affecting your community as much, maybe you don't think about it like that. But for me and my community, it's horrible. And I'm tired of seeing young people and old people being killed on a daily basis. If your community, it's not real to you. It's real to me because I live here.
Wow. Ryan?
I agree. Jermaine, say something real quick because I have to get out.
Okay.
I have a meeting at 10. I really enjoyed the show. There's a lot of sides that were spoke on. And the last young lady that spoke, I can agree with her. That's why I don't watch the news, because I get sick and tired of hearing about people who are killed by guns. I do. I mean, it really deters me from looking at the news. Because I want to hear some good news. I want to hear what has changed, what has been productive, what is better for everybody. That's what I want to hear. I just get tired of hearing that, you know. And someone said something about the killing in Vegas, the guy that was shooting out the window. That's why I will not step foot in Vegas. That's one state I will not step foot in because that happened. But the show was great. We can all only hope and pray that things change.
Yeah.
I pray and I hope things change for the better. Because if it continues down the road it's going, it's not gonna. I mean, it already looks bad on us. It already looks bad on us. And when somebody says something about the United States being smart in technology, yes, but Japan has us blown out the water when it comes to technology. And they are a country that has minimal deaths as well.
Exactly. Ryan, what's on your heart, brother?
Y'all all have a good.
You too, sis. Appreciate you.
I enjoyed it, and I hope.
I say I appreciate you, sis.
Okay, I hope to see you. I'm gonna speak with y'all tomorrow. Have
Absolutely.
A good one.
You too. Ryan.
I'm here.
Yes, sir. What's on your heart?
I don't really know if I can add any more to the conversation that's not already been said multiple times over by pretty much all of us. You know, gun violence is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Losing children, old folks, anybody in between, losing any life is sad.
Exactly.
It's something that shouldn't happen. You know, we've got communities here in the city where, as a white guy, I go in there, I get pulled over, they tear my car up because there's only two reasons for me to be there: picking up drugs or selling drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I live outside of it, I grew up in some of the nastiest stuff you'd ever imagine or fantasize if you're a sick person to see, right? And it's to a point now in certain areas where the police will tell you, you're on your own if you go in there.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We don't go in there.
Mm-hmm.
And what little housing is left in some of these communities, like that they've gone through and started tearing down the abandoned houses and things like that, which is something that has been needed to be done for many, many years, because those harbor dangers that people don't think about really. But there was a story not too long ago. There was a older woman, I think she was in her 70s or 80s, and had 4 people break into her house, which coincidentally was like the only house left on the block. So they went to break in there thinking, oh, she's an old, feeble woman. We finna take everything she got. Nope. She met them, said hello, and took them all out with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Blew them out the door. Exactly.
Blew them out the door.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it's, you know, that just, it echoes to me inside, like, people have the right to defend themselves with whatever they can get. I don't know how many of y'all been involved in a street fight or been involved in a prison fight, but I have many times, to my sadness. Things happen, right?
Yeah.
So, but at that point in time, you know, it's like we talked about the other day, you have minimal time to decide if you're going to live or you're going to die.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And if it's me reaching over to my nightstand, and whether I have a lock on my pistol or I've got one of those fingerprint boxes that my gun sits in, and popping that open and having to end somebody else to protect my family, I'm going to do that regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll do the same for anybody in this room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure you go home to your family safely, regardless if you're in the right or the wrong. If I could diffuse the situation, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So again, it comes down to communication between all peoples, having these conversations. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us could. Talking, having these conversations, taking what we've learned and applying it to our daily lives. You know, I'm one of those strange cats. I want to buy a plot of land somewhere where ain't nobody else around, but it's going to be big enough so I can take those closest to me and have them out there too.
Exactly. Exactly.
The people I trust.
That's it. That's what it's all about. We're going to switch up a little bit. We got a little less than 10 minutes. We're probably going to spend just a little bit longer on this right here. But I want to have Captain, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Leonard, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're gonna have us a short little debate real quickly. And Captain, you're gonna be you're the captain on one team, and Leonard, you're the captain on the other team. And we're going to go down, and you gotta pick people to be on your team. We gotta do this quickly. We got Zamari, Ryan, Cassandra, Rico, Badger, Joseph, and Willa. Pick somebody for your team first.
Well, man, I'm glad you gave me first choice. I got no question. I went to my, I like my man Rico and Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
I would scoop them all.
No, man, you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Captain done ran all the way down the line. I'm gonna get everybody.
Pick this whole team.
I want all the big apples.
No, we're gonna be like we did in basketball. Like we play on a basketball team. You gotta pick one person. Then he picks.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't let my cards. I didn't throw my cards.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Cal stacking the deck, ain't he? He's stacking the deck.
Who you going with, Cap?
Rico.
Okay. Rico's on your team. Leonard, who's your first pick?
I'm not sure who's still on the line, but is Badger on the line?
Yes.
I take Badger.
Badger, okay. All right, good deal. Captain, next pick.
Cassandra.
Okay. Leonard.
Let me get my young lady that Second Amendment.
Okay. Zamari, okay. Cap.
Give me Ryan.
Okay. I was going to say, man, y'all sleeping on Ryan. Y'all put the married couple on different teams. Oh my goodness. Oh, this gonna be good. Wow. I didn't know y'all was gonna do that. Okay. Leonard.
Who's left, Ryan?
Let me see who we got here. My pick, Ryan's pick, Cassandra's pick, Rico's pick, Badger's pick, Joseph and Willa.
Give me Joseph.
Okay. Willa, you're gonna be the judge because the team will be unbalanced because I know Cap wants you on his team, but it'll be unbalanced. So you're gonna be the judge, okay?
Okay.
Willa, Judge Willa. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
This is our debate. Captain, you pick first, so Leonard, you get to go first. Pros and cons. This couple has been married. We're gonna do what we did with a couple of days ago. Couple has been married for 10 or 12 years. Okay. He cheated, and because he cheated, because of the fact that he cheated, she cut him off. She shut him down for 6 months. She's kind of concerned now because of the fact that he's getting a little restless, if you will. So she wants to know, should she concede? Leonard, y'all viewpoint is no, she should not concede because he cheated. Cap, your standpoint is yes. You are a husband and wife. You have an obligation to your husband. It's that both of y'all bodies become one, and so you have an obligation. Let me see. Yes, you're on Leonard's team. Jamal, yes, you're on Leonard's team. Okay. Leonard.
Well, I kind of thought this was going to be about guns, but but anyway, one, I do not believe that she should concede until her requests are met, until he proves himself once again that he can be trusted. He is the one that violated their agreement, not her. So I believe that it's her right within her relationship to withhold until she wants to trust him again.
Okay, Captain.
I'm gonna toss the ball to my man Rico. Go ahead. You go after that, Rico.
I mean, I'm trying to you. I almost agree with Leonard, man. What you trying?
Man, you can't agree, man. You on the other side, man. What you doing?
That's what I'm saying. What point you want me to argue, man?
No. Your argument is yes. She need to go ahead and see. Leonard, the argument is no. She should not concede to him. Your argument is yes because you're husband and wife. Y'all are together as one. And if you don't, this is what's gonna happen. So you on the yes. She should. Yes. She have to. So your argument, your team's argument is yes.
Ooh, man, I gotta put on some acting shoes on this one, man. I gotta see if I can find a way to make that convincing. Oh, man, how can? Ooh, man, I hate to let you down on this one, Cap, man. Oh,
Hey, Yeah, I feel you. That's why I tossed the ball, because I'm damn near getting ready to join Leonard on that one. But
Yeah, I'm like, man, I mean, I don't know if that was, we probably should have stuck to the guns.
yeah. Hey, it's out by element, man.
Wow. Okay. Let's scratch that and start over. Let's start over from the beginning then. No, Leonard, you still arguing on the fact of no. There should not be gun reform. Cap, your team is yes, there should be. Leonard, make your point.
So I'm against gun reform.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna toss the ball to my friend where they love that Second Amendment.
Samari?
My God. Now, why you got to do me like that? Okay. No, don't you laugh at me. Because he knows I don't know this stuff as well as he does. Gosh dang it. Look, I'm just going to go back to our forefathers and what they stood for. And I stand behind our forefathers. I stand behind what they were trying to create. And I know my husband's on the opposite team, but I'm going to say, like he said, they had enough foresight to know that these things were going to progress and change. And so there was no limitation on that. We have those rights to bear arms. And so, no, there should not be gun reform. No.
Okay. Captain?
Go back to my man Rico. Handle that.
Rico?
Yeah, to me, it goes back to I agree with what the forefathers stood for, but in 2023, that gun culture has completely changed. And so now we have situations where you have 12-year-old kids getting killed in Atlantic Station because some other child had access to a gun trying to kill another child. And even though it may go back to the parents and it goes back to the fact that we do need these guns to protect ourselves, you know, there's a culture that exists now with the cause and effect. Well, there's too much accessibility and availability to the people, the wrong people, misusing guns for the wrong reason. So with cause and effect being a factor, you have to come to a point where you say, well, we just can't wash our hands and say, well, oh, well, this is the environment that we live in, knowing that it's gotten worse from the original idea of the forefathers. Or you say, okay, now we have to come up with something to limit this thing that is getting out of hand. That is what government is for, is to make sure that people don't get out of hand and things don't get out of control for the best progress of society and benefit for all of society.
Good deal. Leonard, who's up next?
I want to go with Joseph.
Joseph?
Okay. Okay, we are arguing for reform or against?
Yeah, no, there should not be. Yeah, you arguing that there should not be.
I'm sorry?
You're arguing that there should not be any gun reform. You're against it.
Okay. Then if we want to uphold the Second Amendment, then I suggest that in school we have our children look at the two models that invoked or that called for the use of Second Amendment, such as the Civil War, which was fought against the country over slavery, and then the Jan 6 insurrection, which Trump was trying to declare himself, or he wanted to be president for life, and he made no secrets about it. And there were 74 million people who wanted to agree with him. We would have to take up arms to reset the republic and get it back to where it's supposed to be. So it was going to be 2 times we use the Second Amendment, and we have to interpret it accordingly. So if you don't want gun reform, then we need to know how to use Second Amendment, when to use it, and when is the right time to use it. So our children in school must learn it all over again and learn the correct way.
Okay. Captain, who you combating with? Who you coming back with?
Going to my man Ryan.
Ryan? Now, you know, your argument is yes, there should be gun reform, is what your argument is.
Yeah. So if we're going to go with the argument of for gun reform, we got to do some common sense things, like if a citizen wants to purchase a weapon they need to have the means to keep that weapon away from their children. There should be questionnaires about who lives in the home, which goes against everything I believe in. You don't need to know what's in my house, but if you're gonna have this debate, so let's go with listing number of people in the home, especially children. And if you have children, what are your what are your methods to keep them out of your kids' hands? Do you have a gun safe? Are you willing to purchase a gun safe? Are you willing to purchase a fingerprint gun safe? Those things to me. Well, I taught my children, you don't touch guns. This is what they do. And they've never once even been curious enough to even look sideways unless we outside and I'm doing target practice, then it's a different story. But I feel like if you're going to have a handgun, which seems to be the number one thing that these kids sneak into school with is a handgun, a fingerprint safe should be a mandatory thing because they can't cheat your fingerprints.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Captain?
I think it's Leonard's turn.
Yeah,
Right.
it's sure.
Yeah, Cap.
Yeah. Okay. Leonard?
Well, I would like to say that I think it is in our right to bear arms for the purpose that I believe Zanaya was mentioning. The purpose of us bearing arms is to protect ourselves. And every man must have that right to protect himself and his property and his loved ones. If we give up this basic constitutional right, this would turn us into communistic countries that oppress their citizens without respect to any of their rights. So while we may believe that gun control is the answer, we must also be aware that guns are necessary.
Leonard?
You know, hit one of them spots again.
Yeah, I think it'll hit one of the spots. Okay, so let me go back to Captain.
I like to have my anchor bring it home, Cassandra.
Cassandra? Yes,
Why is that's so bad, Raheem? So much.
Your argument is yes, there should be gun reform. Why? Make your point.
Because we need to stop the death. We need to stop the death. I mean, if we just the human element, if we could just stick with everybody agreeing that we need to stop the death, then we need to have some type of gun reform because it's not going to stop without that. It has to be something done. So to stop the death would be my platform.
Okay, good deal. Leonard, you back with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Finish your thought.
Well, I believe that we should maintain our right to bear weapons and not secede to those individuals who are more emotionally tied to the issue. The right to bear arms is what sets America apart from many other countries, and the very fact that, one, we are allowed to defend ourselves against unconstitutional behavior, a oppressive government, and growing threats that happen to each and every one of us every day.
Okay. Now I came back to you, but you still have Badger. You want to go to Badger now?
Sure.
Badger? No, there should not be gun reform.
Gun reform is a bad idea. Of what happens when folks in power gain control. That's the whole reason of why we are allowed to own guns. And based on scientific studies, I believe it was 90-ish%, I can't remember the exact number, of anyone that has done gun shootings and things like that had a mental health issue. So instead of trying to focus on guns, let's turn around and focus on mental health access, because that seems to be the main problem, not the guns.
Okay.
Guns
Good deal.
can't shoot without someone behind them.
Judge Willow.
Raheem.
Now listen, now Willa,
Okay.
you hold on now. Let me preface. Let me say. Now you're the judge, and Willa, there have to be a winner.
Of course.
Okay, go ahead.
And I do.
Hold on, we won short.
A winner.
What you mean?
We won short.
How you figure?
Cause Cap didn't give his analysis, did he?
Oh, he sure didn't. He sure didn't. Good
Yeah,
point.
he gotta give his nay.
Okay.
Or 4 or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, his Captain.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Rico. I just think it just makes sense to any civilized human being that there has to be some sense of control. There has to be. I mean, whether we can solve it or not, it just makes sense. We definitely need gun control. But even though they may call it gun control or gun reform, I can't see us talking about gun reform unless we're also talking about community reform. We have to create an environment that depends more on God and less of the gun. And even though it may take a while and years to do that, but I do believe that they go hand in hand. And if you create an environment where people have more hope, then we have create an environment that takes less depression and stress, and then also deal with the mental attitude. So I believe that it all goes hand in hand, but we got to have some control. It's called gun control, but if we flip it and say control the gun, control the gun. And I think that my team did a great job in representing the team. That's all I got to say. And to our judge, that's what's on my heart, right?
Now see, now why you baiting the judge, man? Why you baiting the judge? See, you look at you baiting the judge.
That's what he do. That's what he do.
Hey, Captain Leonard said that's what you do, man. Say you baiting the judge, man.
I think he broke all the rules.
He broke
all the rules.
Okay. Well, hey, let's see what the judge has to say. Judge Willow. Who is the winner?
Raheem.
Yes.
Okay, so I do have a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Each team, the pros and cons, both made great comments.
Mm-hmm.
Great comments. But I'm gonna tell you why I picked the winner.
Okay.
Badger had not only a comment, but he also in his comment he had a solution.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, Joseph, he had a solution. So out of the two solutions that they had, the pro and the con, I picked Joseph. Because of the fact
both of them
that
are on
both of them,
what happened?
both of them on Leonard's team. That's all. Because Leonard is Badger, Zamari, and Joseph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just lost all the way around them.
Well, Joseph, that's the team that won.
Wait a minute. Did you say
Joseph not only came up with a solution, but before the solution, he gave why the solution and then what would happen afterwards. And that's why I picked Joseph's team. Joseph.
So Cap, you want to say something to the winning team?
She thought Joseph was on my team. That's what she thought. I want to recount.
I think Willa got a bad spot, man, and then here's some stuff, man. I said them bad people getting guns was gonna make us have to get guns. That was a solution.
Good call, Willa. Good call, Willa.
Lord Jesus. And Cap, see, you baited the judge and it still didn't work. God almighty.
Man, all that pattern, man, don't never do that no more, man. You see, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, I put that biscuit. Man, did I put a lot of butter on that biscuit?
It didn't work, brother. Did not work. But maybe next Wednesday we'll have another debate, and you'll have another opportunity. Y'all have another opportunity to redeem yourselves. Maybe next week, but right now, anybody got anything to want to? Oh! Give me your victory speech, Leonard.
Man, I just want to thank my team, and I know that all of us are pro-reform, and for y'all to still win, excellent.
Good deal. Good deal. Anybody else have anything to want to say?
Yeah, I just want to add, I'm not mad about any of this. You know, and I do appreciate this conversation. There were some things, I'll be honest, that did annoy me, but I still love y'all. Just putting that out there. I still love y'all.
Hey, we love you too, sis. We love you too. And congratulations. Y'all won today. Y'all got the
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Zaria, welcome to the Morning Glow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right. That's you get your Philly. If you don't get your Philly, sir, you're on the wrong show.
Exactly. I gotta ask one question though. Ryan, pull your screen up for me if you can, brother. Ryan, are you there? He may be occupied.
Yeah, he on the clock. He still
Yeah, he may be occupied.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Hey, look, can I see your face, brother? I need to see your face when I ask you this question if I can. How does it feel? How does it feel, man? Your team lost, man. You lost to your wife, man.
Hey, you know, as a man, they say we lose to our wives every day.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I'm okay with that.
There you go. Great answer. Great answer. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But look, it's been a great broadcast, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us. So what's going on today at 3 o'clock?
What's up?
If you missed today's show and would like to hear us see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Good deal. Judge Willow!
Raheem! Come on, let's go.
Are you ready?
I am so ready, Raheem, to receive God's word. Come on, Raheem.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I ain't got number one more thing to say, Willa. I ain't got number one more thing to say. Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, y'all. Go with me this morning. I pray that God humbles our hearts and open up our minds to sound doctrine. I pray that God continually dwell in our lives with his message. There was a message this morning, and I pray that someone received it. God, we thank you for allowing us to get up this morning to see another day, giving us an opportunity to change what we can in our lives. And what we can't, Lord, Father, we know we can cast it over to you because you said it in your word. Father, I thank you for your word. Father, I'm praying for someone out there, Lord. I don't know who it is, Lord, but Father, I know you know. I'm asking you, Lord, to touch this land, Lord. Father, I believe that in spite of what we see every day, Lord, I know that you orchestrate, that you plan, and that you allow certain things to happen for your glory. You said it in your word that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord. Father, we love you. Sometimes we don't understand, but you said in your word to lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge you, and you will direct our path. So, Father, we thank you, Lord, this morning. I'm praying that you continually give us strength, Lord, to guide us, line us up with your will, and show us your way. We love you, Lord. We honor you, Lord. We glorify you. I'm asking you to touch each and every last one that's on this line. Keep Raheem and his family safe, Lord. Keep your message going forth, Lord, where life will be changed, Lord. Father, we need you to touch the heart of men. We need you, Lord. We believe that you're already going to do it. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Hallelujah.
Yes, Lord. It's been a great broadcast, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now, what is it, 10:16? You're about to exit the morning glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple, I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug, because you never know, it could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light on you from the morning glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other, and please, please, please be blessed. Show somebody some love and truth today. They will appreciate it, and I'm sure that you will as well. Have a great day. Love you. Y'all take care.